Fan is live and local with Fan Sports Saturday. The Fan Sports Day of the Week. Oh, this is some clever branding. Here's your host, place, name, here.
It is the Fan Sports Saturday here on 97.1 The Fan. I'm making my debut. I am Matt Fontana. So happy to be aside the legend that is Tim May. We'll take you up till 1 o'clock today. And we are living right because we got everything to get to. We've got big news out of college football. As you heard in the Sports Center there, the Cavs get back one. They are still down 2-1 in that series. And plenty of NFL to go around with rookie minicamp. I'm up here in Cleveland, Tim. We got an Ohio State Buckeye in Quinshon Judkins. We do have a Michigan Wolverine and Mason Graham. But things looking good for the NFL and rookie minicamp. And, Tim, it's a beautiful Saturday, and I'm happy to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Well, we'll say this much. Mason Graham made 7 tackles last time he played a football game in Ohio, so that was a pretty good get. Yeah, man, it's great to be on with you, man. I know you used to be on the same crew with Anchorman Ron Burgundy, so it's cool to be on to Mr. Fontana.
That is, and actually I have a brother named Brian, so I need to give credit to him. He was born before the movie came out, so I do have to give some credit to my brother Brian on that. We got a lot to get to, and I do want to introduce myself to everybody coming up a little bit later in the show, but really excited because soon coming up, Tim, we're going to talk to Ty Tucker, and he's the Ohio State men's tennis coach because today is a super regional. Tim, I got to tell him before we get Coach on, I don't know if I was really aware of the dominance of Ohio State men's tennis, where they're trying to get to the final site for the 19th consecutive year. I mean, that's just a dominance that you don't see very often in any sport, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, and when you talk about Ty Tucker, I mean, he's already in the Ohio State Hall of Fame. He's been in it for 20 years already. You know, he's a tremendous player when he was at Ohio State, but then he's brought that that grit, I call it, more than anything else. I had a good sit down with him a year ago about this same time of the year, and just the way this team plays. I mean, you think of a tennis team, right, and you don't think it's the same way of a football team or something, but they just never give up and just keep plugging. And they're trying to get, like you said, back to the national tournament finals site for the 19th time, and he just won his 18th straight Big Ten Coach of the Year award. It should be the Ty Tucker Award now. You would think. What does it take to retire an award or to rename the award in the honor of the person that most deserves it?
Well, we might have to ask him as we bring him in. Coach Ty Tucker joining us here. And, Coach, not to throw that question on you on what it should take for you to get that trophy named after you, but today with the Super Regional, just talk about, Coach, what Tim and I were talking about there, the legacy, the consecutive years of going there. You guys are 40-0 in NCAA tournament matches at home here in Columbus. It's a hard question to ask, Coach, but what is the key to all that success?
I mean, thanks for having me, guys. Good players. I mean, the key to the success is darn good players and nice atmosphere, great fans, and being in Columbus, Ohio, and doing it for the Buckeyes. I mean, there's nothing better in my growing up in Zanesville, Ohio. There's just nothing better than being able to put on the scarlet and gray and keep going year in and year out and trying to compete for a title. So I've been lucky guy to be able to be at Ohio State so long and have a little success.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ty, I set you up with all those plaudits because I knew it'd probably make you uncomfortable.
I'm uncomfortable. You're trying to jinx us. No,
I know.
I'm joking. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I heard what you guys were saying. They had me patched in for 2 or 3 minutes, but he's good players, and just looking for guys that tennis is their fun part of the day, and not looking to run around after practice is over with a smile on their face like the fun part of the day is getting ready to start has probably been the success. Finding guys that really want to be there and then, want to be coached and, get them to buy in, first time in their life they play tennis as a team sport. It's an individual sport where they all got their own entourages through the juniors, mom and dad, filling up their water jugs and taking them around. They got coaches, they've got mental coaches, they've got, strength coaches and, and they're running around and trying to get them to play as a team and let them know that, it's fun because at Ohio State, the tennis team is, if you lose today, someone will say, what happened? They won't say, wow, you were in the Sweet 16, and that's good. They'll say, what happened? So kind of know what John Cooper felt like or Jim Tressel or some of those football coaches, because they're kind of held at that same standard where you finish 5, people are going crazy.
Yeah, or your best buddy Ryan Day. I mean, you guys get it on almost every morning, in the Ty Tucker Tennis Center. Which every time I look around, I see Ty Tucker's name. Hey, I wanted to ask you, touch on that a second, but I also wanted to ask you this. I mean, it's free admission today. I think free parking.
Free parking, yep.
Yeah, and I would think you expect a pretty good crowd on a really nice day for tennis, right? I mean, it's a chance to see you guys live and in person. I would think a lot of people would be curious about this.
You said free tennis. You said free parking. You need to call Ross Bjork. So he's going to give some people some hot dogs to come as well.
Exactly.
Hopefully, a nice day gets 800, 1,000 people out there, and hopefully they can carry us through the finish line.
Are you Mississippi State? What just jumps out at you about this match? I mean, I would think, knowing you a little bit, the more success you have, the more you definitely want to cross the T's and dot the I's and stuff about a team taking no one for granted, et cetera, and stuff. But what is your team bringing into this? But what is the challenge this afternoon?
We slid by Mississippi State last year in this same round. Mississippi State's a tough team. Finished 2 in the SEC. Texas edged them out 4-3 in the regular season. But Mississippi State, all international. They'll bring 3 Spanish guys, 2 Serbians and a guy from Portugal. And, they'll come in here and they'll kick the soccer ball around at the warm-up, and they'll have the soccer cheers going on. And, it's just different. We play with almost 80-90% of our roster is American. And, you get a feel for that. In tennis, it's an international sport. So face a lot of teams that, have a lot of players from around the globe. But, they're all international. And, they know that Ohio State, how well we've done, and got, won a lot of matches at home. So, we know we're going to see their best day. Last year we slid by them 4-2 in a hard-fought match. And we know they've been tested in the SEC because there's no easy days in SEC tennis. So, they'll come here and they're used to playing some outdoor tennis, and we would have liked it to rain and move it inside. But it's one of the things we've had to overcome this year. People ask me with conference expansion what happened. What did I feel in conference expansion? And we no longer get a spring break trip because you added 4 more teams, and so that took 2 more weeks of conference play right when we'd take a spring break trip to get outside for a week. But they sent us to Oregon and Washington, so we're on 15 or 16 days outside right now, and going up against some teams that are on 70 or 80 days outside. So we're starting to get our outdoor legs in us, and we'll be a tough out at home. And the good thing is it's 90% of the season's finished before you get to the NCAA tournament, and the top 8 seeds get to host the Super Regional. So we've done enough to earn the right to host this match at our place. So I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask you about that not looking ahead part, because you mentioned it where they're a solid team. You guys saw them last year, but of all the legacy and a lot of the players that have been there for a lot of that, is that hard with all the factors that you just talked about to say, guys, we got to focus on today before we start thinking about heading on to the Nationals?
No, everybody in that locker room knows. I mean, we're in the Nationals. I mean, this is a round of 16. We played this round of 64 last week against Buffalo, round of 32 last week against Auburn. Now we're in the round of 16. So, it'd be nice to get to the final site, but there's no doubt. Everybody knows that, it's one match at a time. And it's always, the good thing about tennis is you've got, 6 individual matches going on in singles. So you have 6 different styles of play from each guy you're going to face. So, you just on to the next one. You have Monday as your off day, and then spent Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you just preparing for what we're going to see against Mississippi State. And, hopefully we could get lucky and grab one here, and we'd have 4 or 5 days before we'd have to go against Stanford. And they've won lots and lots of national titles. So to get a chance to play Stanford in the Elite 8 would be a dream come true, not only for me, but for everybody in the locker room.
Hey, Todd, we're running out of time here. What I would want you to name, just name me a couple of guys that, they've really stood out for you guys this year that people should keep their eye on today.
We've got Jack Anthrop and we've got Alex Bernard. Those are the only two guys returning from last year's squad who actually went. Last year's team graduated 3 national champions, 5 All-Americans. Yeah. And those in the last 3 years, we'd Final Four twice and been in the final match of the NCAA and won a national indoor title with that group. So we lost a lot, but we had 2 returning All-Americans, Anthrop and Bernard, both from Florida. And we picked up a transfer. University of Florida's #1 player from last year jumped in the portal, and we picked him up, last offseason. And he's right now 11 in the country, a fellow named Aiden Kim, who's actually from Florida as well. So, with those 3 guys, Bernard, Kim, and Anthrop have meant a lot. But we've got 2 Ohio guys, a local boy who won the state championship from Gahanna, Brandon Carpico, played at Gahanna Lincoln, and a boy from Cincinnati, Preston Stearns, has done a great job. His sister's actually making a good living in the professional women's tour. And another guy that rounds out our starting lineup, Bryce Nakashima. His brother's actually 25 in the world, ATP. Wow. And he's from San Diego. So he will, that group right there will be the guys that are trying to get us 4 wins today so we can advance.
Right. Go get it, Coach. Best of luck to you, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon coming up as you guys get to the final site. Best of luck today, and really appreciate you. We're only 2 hours away from match time. Coach took time to join us. We really appreciate it.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. There it goes. I want to remind everybody, Tim, as you said, noon today, free parking, free admission. You can get there and root on the Ohio State men's tennis team in the Super Regional today. Got plenty coming up. Don't go anywhere. Fan Sports Saturday right here on 97.1 The Fan.
We're the highest-rated sports radio station in America. There's no joke there. We just are. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Going up. Prices keep going up these days. It feels like being on an elevator that only goes up. Going up. But not at Metro. We're pushing the down button. Going down. We've lowered prices. Get 1 line of 5G data for $40, period. That's 20% lower. And you get a free Samsung 5G phone when you bring your number. Only at Metro.
5-year guarantee on eligible plans. Exclusions apply. See website for details. Not available at Metro with T-Mobile in the past 6 months. Tax applies.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
This is This Date in Reds Baseball with team historian Greg Rhodes.
The Reds have developed quite a rivalry with the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Indians. But did you know that way back when, for several years in the late 1800s, our main rival was none other than Louisville, a minor league city now. But they had a major league franchise then. And the 2 river cities played several times a year. Fans traveled back and forth by riverboat up and down the Ohio River. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? And on this date, May 10th, 1877, after the home opener in Cincinnati was rained out, the Reds traveled to Louisville to open on the road. And in front of the rabid opening day fans beat the hometown Kentucky 9 15-10. A memorable opening day win in the lair of their rivals from Louisville on this date in Reds baseball.
This Date in Reds Baseball is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore. Celebrating greatness, preserving history, providing inspiration.
Looking to sell your home? Don't pay 6% commission. Call my guys at Sell for 1% Realtors. They're full service, not a do-it-yourself kind of thing. On average, customers save over $10,000. Give them a call, 614-451-6616. That's 451-6616.
AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio is your Medicaid plan for more benefits, more rewards. We know that good health means more than just seeing a doctor when you're sick. Eligible members can receive extras like home-delivered meals and family essentials, like baby carriers and kids' school supplies. Members can even earn rewards for playing mobile health trivia games. Learn more at AmeriHealthCaritasoh.com and call the Ohio Medicaid Consumer Hotline at 1-800-324-8680 to choose AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio.
We can come the day you call us.
We're 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
Brian, I've been meaning to ask you something.
Okay, ask away.
Sometimes when we're talking, I hear a little sparkling sound.
Is it when one of us says, all you have to do is point?
There it is. Did you hear that?
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic? Like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Bobby Carpenter is packing up morning juice and headed to YouTube. Catch Bobby and Tito on the Fan's YouTube page weekday mornings from 6 to 8.
All the fun starts on May 12th.
More Bobby, less commercials. Attack and dominate the Fan.
Did you ask about Pick 3 from the Ohio Lottery? Okay, Pick 3 is a daily draw game where you pick 3 individual numbers between 0 and 9 that can be played straight, where numbers must be drawn in an exact order or boxed where they can be drawn in any order. You can win hundreds, and wagers start at only 50 cents. Want to learn more? Okay, go to OhioLottery.com or the Ohio Lottery app. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
Newman Roofing, as part of their 2025 Commitment to Community initiative, is proud to partner with 10 TV and The Fan to launch Raise the Roof, honoring local heroes who are going above and beyond in their communities. Newman Roofing wants to recognize the volunteers, educators, first responders, and everyday difference makers who are making a meaningful impact in their towns to be recognized on 10 TV and The Fan. Stay tuned as we begin announcing the selected honorees who truly embody the spirit of Newman Roofing's commitment to community.
Forever starts with the perfect diamond. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Cellar, and for over 78 years, our family has helped generations of couples celebrate love with brilliance, quality, and unbeatable prices. At Diamond Cellar, bigger diamonds and better prices are our promise to you. Whether you're popping the question or upgrading your sparkle, trust the experts. Because diamonds, they're our forte. Visit us at Diamond Cellar on Sawmill Road or at Easton Town Center and learn more at diamondcellar.com.
Hi there, I'm Ryan Reynolds, and like most actors, I have a list of things that I like to have on set. It's called a rider. It's just little things like wind chimes being blown by a easterly breeze, a 7-year-old calico cat to purr on my lap, and, of course, 2 freshly cracked eggs scrambled with crispy hash brown sausage crumble and creamy chipotle sauce from Tim Hortons. It smells amazing. Now, where did I put that hand-carved wooden spoon? From my rider to Tim's menu, try my new scrambled eggs loaded breakfast box.
Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We're looking ahead to a beautiful weekend with mostly sunny skies. High temperatures into the mid-70s here for this afternoon. And then for tonight, mostly clear and cool with temperatures into the upper 40s. And on your Mother's Day, still tracking more sunshine, high temperatures into the mid-70s. And we'll keep those 70s in the forecast here for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
We've test marketed naming the show A Guy and His Butlers.
Oh, that is very touching.
But we thought Bishop and Friends had a better ring to it.
Weekday mornings at 9.
The Fan. Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean we shut up. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
It is a beautiful Saturday right here on 97.1 The Fan. He's Tim May. I am Matt Fontan, and plenty to get to coming up. College football making some waves this week about the SEC and the Big Ten trying to make their push for the expansion for it. But Tim and I were talking about this before the show because obviously he's Tim May. And Tim, you don't even know, I didn't even tell you this, that I've been hearing your voice for not a long time, I don't want to age you there, but for years as I worked in Cleveland, I'm an Ohio State fan. So everybody knows Tim May, but they have not had a chance to meet me. This is my first show ever on 97.1 The Fan. I'm so excited for this opportunity and wanted to take a few minutes here just to introduce myself. Tim, it's also like a Q&A here. If you got any questions for me to tell people, I've worked in Cleveland media for over a decade. I'm a lifelong Browns fan, Cavs, Guardians. I am a diehard Ohio State fan. I was not smart enough, Tim, to get into Ohio State. I was smart enough to marry somebody who did. My wife is a proud graduate of the Ohio State University. My 2 kids are Ohio State fans. So I figured when this Columbus opportunity came around, it's right up my wheelhouse. It's perfect.
Yeah, it reminded me of a scene from No Country for Old Men. So you inherited this. So you married into this.
Yeah, married into it. If you want to put it that way, well, I don't have to put it anyway. That's the way that it is.
One of the great scenes in all movies ever. But yeah, welcome to The Fan, man. I mean, I don't know why I'm welcoming you. I'm just sort of a part-time kind of guy, but I'm really looking forward to this. Like I said, I was giving you trouble about your last name, Fontana. It's appeared in a few famous movies, Scarface, whatever. But
that would be the one, yeah.
But yeah, man, welcome to the scene. I'm just wondering what is your point? What do you hope to get out of this gig, Matt, more than anything else? I mean, exposure to obviously a new fan base, so to speak. But what intrigues you most about being on a radio station where it's Ohio State football is basically the centric point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really excited about that because it's like, working in Cleveland for as long as I did, and you know this obviously, when you work on a team, you don't necessarily get to be a fan. We all want them to do well, but it's different when I'm talking about the Browns in this town or the Cavs or the Guardians. It's weird. And I'll say the same thing about the Blue Jackets because I've literally been a Blue Jacket fan since day one. I remember their very first game. It's one of my earliest sports memories, running around my house telling my family that the game is starting. Nobody cares because they're like, that's some hockey team in Columbus. So it's like, I'll tell you that, Tim, Ohio State football and really the Blue Jackets for me got to be the two teams that I covered and I talked about in Cleveland, but I could just be a fan. Yeah. I was just a fan, and I wanted them to win, and I could just go to games and just relax, and it's just a different dynamic for me, with those two. So that's definitely the excitement, and then having the connections of a few people. I know Bo Bishop from Cleveland, some of the other people at Bobby Carpenter, and the people at 97.1. I was just, when this opportunity came around, and I said, well, you're talking about one of the most legacy type of stations in the entire state, and certainly in a great market in Columbus. I was so excited for that, and I hope to bring just some fun. I think when doing this, and certainly the fun that we've already even just had here in the short time, I just want people to enjoy listening, having a good time, get some laughs out, get some takes out. I'm sure as this is just starting, I'm going to say something eventually that'll get people upset or they don't agree with, but I just aim to have fun doing this, and that's my main goal of it, as always and forever will be.
Yeah, it's really interesting, too, because, when Coach Tucker of the Ohio State men's tennis team, they're hosting that super regional today at noon, and like we all said, we gave them a big pub there. I mean, you get in free, and like he said, boy, if they could just give out free hot dogs, they really have something going. But no, the bottom line is, he was talking about all these foreign players that are foreign-born players playing for Mississippi State, who's their opponent today, and I can imagine all those guys showing up in Starkville,
yeah,
Mississippi. If you've never been there, ladies and gentlemen, well, you might have been there, you didn't notice it. But my point is, meanwhile, the Ohio, Columbus is a 2.2 metro area population. I think now, right up there, second only in the state, I think, to Cleveland. Of course, the city of Columbus is the largest city by far in the state of Ohio. But this is, some, backward wastewater town out in the middle of nowhere, you know what I mean? And most of these fans really care about Ohio State and football and stuff. And what is the responsibility you think comes with that from your vantage point of telling people what's going on, but keeping them straight on the news?
I think that's what Tim, you've been doing this so long, this as well. It's that sometimes, interesting so much about Ohio State of just the success that they've had over so many years, but it is bringing the vibe in the field. Doing this job, it should be a representation of how the fans feel or what the fans want to hear. And sometimes, it needs to be. It's not always going to be good. Now, again, talking specifically about Ohio State football, for the vast majority, it's been great. But I'm going to bring my viewpoint of it and how I see things. And it all starts with, I want Ohio State to go undefeated. There's nothing more than I want than to beat Michigan. I want them to win national championships. So it's like, if we all start with that base, then we can have our conversations about what we think is best or what we think the direction of the program is. And I think the interesting thing about Columbus and why I'm so excited to have this opportunity is to talk about that as Ohio State, but know that there's a blend of some of the other sports, and it is so many different people where there's not, outside of the Blue Jackets and the Crew, there's not an NBA team. It is just the Cavs up here, and there's a couple baseball teams, the football teams, but it is a little bit of that blend. Yeah. But to know that it starts with that Ohio State and it starts with the Buckeyes, like that is something that I'm really excited about as well, because, I'll be honest with you, I don't get an opportunity too much up here in Cleveland to talk a lot of Ohio State football. We certainly do, and in some of my prior employers, like, there was opportunity to do it, but we were driven by so many other teams, and I've always just had such a passion for Ohio State football. It's something I'm really looking forward to with this opportunity as well.
Yeah, you always wonder, I think, when you're in a market like where you've been the last many years, is how much more do they want to hear about Ohio State? Are we starving them on that? You understand, you're always playing that balancing game, whereas you can't get too much about Ohio State football and to a certain extent basketball, and now tennis, right? But there's a lot of almost basically you could call it world-class sports being played, in the footprint of the Ohio State University. I mean, some of the athletes that are around there and stuff, there are interesting stories everywhere you look. And I think that's what like we just talked about with Coach Tucker of the tennis team. I mean, the guys been the Big Ten Coach of the Year 18 straight years. That's unbelievable no matter what league you're in, right?
Absolutely. And talk about a tie as you were discussing these about the ties too, like even being up in Cleveland, Denzel Ward being up there, they just drafted Quinshon Judkins. Like there's always been that tie, certainly there for Ohio State, and the discussion that's had a lot of the high school players, high school football just massive in Cleveland. I was a big part of that over my career of watching players go on and be able to play at Ohio State. So there's always been that connection there. And like you said, the success has been there for a long time coming out of Columbus in a lot of different ways. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Like I'm really looking forward to this. I can't tell everybody how much I appreciate them joining us here on my first show, certainly not Tim's, to be able to do it with Tim today. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. And we got to talk some Ohio State, more specifically maybe the conference that they're in, because the Big Ten and the SEC, they're making a push. And I think eventually we were always going to get there, but can we have it sooner rather than later? Of the 16-team college football playoff, is it coming before you know it? And I can't wait. Tim doesn't even know the question I'm going to ask him coming up.
Uh-oh.
And I can't wait. We might have to throw it up on Twitter to get some people's ideas on it. We'll get to all of it coming up. It is the Fan Sports Saturday right here on 97.1 The Fan.
Fans are us when dreams don't get in. Fans are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
Fans are us when dreams don't get in. Fans are us.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Annie's first oil change wasn't as hard as she thought, because she went to AutoZone, where a friendly AutoZoner helped her find the right oil and save on an oil filter. He explained the job and showed her free how-tos on AutoZone.com. When she was done, AutoZone recycled her old oil for free. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Summer 2025 is bringing something wild to your Columbus Zoo. The all-new North America Trek opens this summer, a reimagined zoo region inspired by your national parks. Get ready to get up close with Mexican wolves, black bears, river otters, bald eagles, and more in breathtaking new habitats. Discover local wildlife and conservation in action like never before. Plan your visit today. Visit columbuszoo.org for details.
Question from a listener: do you dopes ever get tired of talking about Ohio State? No. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Instead of annoying national people talking to you this weekend, we've opted for annoying local people. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Well, the Big Ten making the push, and they got the SEC behind them to already expand the 16-team college football playoff format. And I got a question for Tim May. We'll get right to it. Fan Sports Saturday right here on 97.1 The Fan. He is the aforementioned Tim May. I am Matt Fontana, and I guess, Tim, it's like, if you got a good thing, you always want more, right? You always want more of a good thing. And I think everybody really enjoyed the expansion of the college football playoff. And we knew that more was going to come sooner rather than later. But the reports coming out, Ross Dellinger with the tweet from Yahoo Sports as well, that the Big Ten and the SEC and the 4 power conference commissioners held an in-person meeting in New York on Thursday of this past week to discuss several issues, including the future playoff format. The Big Ten and the SEC, according to Ross, as they control the future format, continue to favor multiple automatic qualifiers for their conferences, and as well as the push to potentially even 2026 being the year to go up to 16. Tim, is it too much too fast, or do you think, hey, we're going to get there eventually, let's just get there right now?
Well, as I told Bo Bishop on his show yesterday, and I'm not preempting myself here, but 8 was always the magic number. They already blew by 8, right? So they didn't even give 8 a wave because the dash for cash is a real thing in major college sports, major college football especially, because that's what really drives the boat. Any other cliches you want to throw in there, and where I stand personally, if you're going to have 12, you might as well have 16, because 12, I didn't like the 12. I don't like the 12 number. I don't like the idea of teams getting byes in the first round of a college football playoff tournament, because it's not fair. I mean, literally playing an extra football game should never be equated to playing an extra basketball game.
And I think, Tim, it's so interesting that it didn't work out either, right? Because how many of the teams that had a bye, Oregon and all that, and I'm with you 100%. I think the bye, people wanted to use that as a reward for getting the higher seeds, but I don't think it played out that way. And again, it was just 1 year, and I think the seeding needs to, be redone a lot, because we knew Ohio State was better than some of those other teams. Right. But I think you're so right on about the bye. It seems like a waste of time. It doesn't work.
Yeah, except, obviously Oregon had to play in the Big Ten championship game and won it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they had their extra game. It just came at a much earlier time in the situation. And I'm not sure. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs later. I'm sure you and I are, but because there's a lot of good stuff going on, especially with the Cavs and their situation. But the point is, there is an idea. There is such a thing as a playoff mentality. And let's face it, Tennessee, Oregon, even Texas for the most part, and Notre Dame could not match Ohio State's ferocity when it came to the playoffs last year. And you would think Ohio State was a winged, beaten team, after that November 30th game against Michigan. And, in fact, it came out much more fired up, much more focused, whatever other things you want to throw in there that have a team going for the ultimate prize. And, I think the idea of, what's probably going to go to the wayside, you would think, would be the conference championship games, although they make the SEC and the Big Ten definitely a lot of money. So you don't just, and there's contracts involved, but the bottom line is when you have games of playoff caliber like we saw, even though all those first round games last year were pretty much blowouts, but it was still interesting because something clearly was on the line for both teams, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, NCAA tournament is always the one doesn't play 2 in the opening round. Mm-hmm. It plays 16 or play-in winner or whatever. So it makes sense to start small and move on up. But it gets pretty intense that second round, no matter what kind of tournament you're in. So I understand. I think 16 makes a lot of sense. I think having, to be honest with you, having the SEC and the Big Ten possibly have 4 qualifiers guaranteed makes sense, because we're talking about 16, 18, 34 of the teams and 34 of the elite programs in the country. Probably of the elite programs, probably at least 15 of them are in that 15 or 16 are in that footprint. So they should be getting a little more consideration than Mountain West and whatever other league you want to throw in there. So that all makes sense to me. And but like I said, it always comes down to how much money can you make through this thing. But I'll tell you what, Matt, before I turn it back over to you, because I do tend to talk too much. Hosting that first round hosting by Ohio State last year against Tennessee, an event. I mean,
it was. Yeah.
It was cool. I mean, actually, it was extremely cold, but but it was cool to witness, and it was cool to witness how the Tennessee fans got into it and came north and all that kind of stuff, And I had that famous line on the Paul Feinbaum show, which I won't repeat, but the bottom line is that I mean, there was some vigor there that you don't get in the car care car wash bowl.
No, it's a little different, and I think you're right, because you talk about the goal, making that money where if the conferences are going to be losing on some of these Big Ten championships or SEC championships, well, then you look at the schools and say you're going to make that money back because you're going to host.
Right.
You're probably going to host one of these games. Now, it doesn't mean that these 4 automatic bids that would go to each of the conferences automatically bring you a home game, but I would assume more often than not the SEC and the Big Ten, they're going to get at least a couple of the home games when it comes to that. Under the proposed 16-team bracket, SEC and Big Ten would each get the 4. Then the ACC and the Big 12 would each get 2. The group of 5 would get 1, and then 3 at-large berths to round out the field. Tim, we talked specifically about the SEC and the Big Ten, but I want to ask you about the other ones there. ACC, Big 12 get 2. Group of 5 get 1, 3 at-large. Do you like all of that, or do you think they should go up or down with some of those at-large bids there with the 3?
I think Group of 5 should get more, just because they do help. They do help with the freight, carrying the freight. I mean, these non-conference games that Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia and Texas have to play, they have to play real teams, you know what I mean? So those teams should share a little bit more in the largesse, in my opinion. I don't know how it would be broken down. I haven't seen a schematic of how it would be broken down from a revenue standpoint from one conference to the next. But, the ACC, you would think there would be a clause in there about relegation, meaning, all right, if the ACC really gets their act together in football again, maybe we should think about 3. You know what I mean? And hey, SEC, you haven't been pulling your weight. You only get 3 this year. You know what I mean? Type thing.
Sure.
They definitely should look at it in some form like that. It should not be historic. This is the way it's going to be from now and forever until everybody gets antsy again in 5 years. But yeah, that's the way I look at it. But the at-large thing can take care of that hot ACC team, but it also can take care of the, we didn't get in like Alabama last year, didn't win a game, it only won 1 game of meaning last year and claimed it should have been in the playoff, which was a joke. And everybody knows I grew up a big Alabama fan, so I always throw that rejoinder in there, but what a joke. I even had to keep my baby brother from crying so much. But you understand what I'm saying? I mean, but where will those 3 at-large bids go is going to be what's going to be interesting to watch.
Well, and I also think you would go to an Alabama, you would go to, Indiana obviously made it last year, but like maybe, Penn State's, give me like a Wisconsin, right? Like let's say Nebraska, and Dylan Raiola is everything that everybody wants him to be, right? And Nebraska's on the fringe, and they don't get one of the 4 automatic qualifying bids. I would certainly look at them and say, you guys could get one of those at-large bids, but I would also come back pretty quick and go, your conference got 4.
Yeah.
You got 4 out of your conference, and you weren't good enough to make one of the 4. Maybe you're just not good enough to make it.
Yeah, the committee thought it was like home free last year, when they went to the automatic qualifier, deal. I mean, you had to win your conference to, conference champions got the 4 automatic and the buys. But the bottom line is, man, there's a lot of griping that goes, the wider you make the field, there are more teams and programs that will feel like they should be in it. When it was only 2, there might be 1 or 2 other teams that think they should have been that second team. 4 or 5 maybe other teams, but man, you go to 16. There's going to be a lot of people thinking they're at least one of the top 16 teams in the country. So the great thing about college sports, but especially football, has been how that's where the polls came from in the first place, to settle this dispute, right? And but it's all about pride, man, school pride and program pride, and that will be tested big time, and the committee will bear the brunt of the criticism.
I agree with you, and I want to flip this conversation over when we return to talk more specifically about Ohio State and how expansion, while it might be great for the casual viewer and for everybody to sit back and be able to watch it, it's going to maybe make a harder road for teams like Ohio State who project to be in the national championship picture coming up. But, Tim, here's your question. I'm going to give it to you now. Maybe we'll throw this out on social. We'll let you chew on this for a second. Is it the conference's job? We're talking about the Big Ten and the SEC making this push for the 16-team playoffs, because I get it. You know, they want to be able to make their revenue in this. But is it the number one job of a conference to win a national championship or get as many teams into the playoff field as they can? Are the Big Ten, are they sitting down saying, yeah, we'd like Ohio State to win a national championship, but it's better if we got 5 or 6 schools in the playoff? Which should be the number one priority of some of these conferences? We'll discuss that coming up. It's the Fan Sports Saturday right here, 97.1 The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Common Man here for Universal Windows Direct. It is a big sale at Universal Windows Direct. You're getting an incredible 50% off your windows. That's half off, and it gets even better. For a limited time, you get no interest and no payments for 12 months. That's a whole year. I got to tell you, when something's half and when something's a year. You also get a free entry door with your window purchase. Schedule your free in-home estimate today. Give them a call, 614-502-5220, or visit universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Feeling stressed or overwhelmed? Not sure how to get the mental health help you need? We've got your back. Call the Mental Health Insurance Assistance Office at 855-438-6442. We'll help you figure out what mental health benefits may be in your health plan. No more confusion, just the support you deserve. Call the Mental Health Insurance Assistance Office at 855-438-6442.
Hey Sports Cards fans, I'm Jeff with my buddy Adam, and we run Huggy Kissy Bear breaks on the Whatnot app. What's a card break? Simple. We open boxes of cards live, you pick your team, and we send you all the hits. With over 2,300 5-star reviews, we're all about you. New to card breaks? No sweat. We've got you covered with a sweet welcome package from us. Download the Whatnot app and follow us on Instagram and TikTok to view all of our past Sugar Bear hits. Huggy Kissy Bear breaks, where collectors win big.
Now at White Castle, you can get 12 chicken rings for just $3.99. Tender on the inside, crispy on the outside. Choose from classic or our new Cheddar Blast flavor made with real cheddar cheese. White Castle. Follow your crave. Limited time only at participating castles. Tax not included.
If my buttery smooth voice represents the photos in your social media feed,
and this is closer to what real life is like. Social media can be fun, but remember, it's only showing you
the filtered version of life. So when social media is stressing you out, check in on yourself and remember, it's not the whole story. For more tips on reducing your stress, go to mha.ohio.gov/check-in. A message from the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services.
Sometimes I hear a sparkling sound.
Like when we say, all you have to do is point?
There it is.
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
May I have your attention for some important programming news? Sorry. T-Bone and Tyvis are hosting mornings, weekdays at 6, starting May 12th. That means Common Man and Timmy will share Bro Love at 3. The Fan.
The Bobcat National Sales Event is happening now at Bobcat Enterprises. Get up to $10,000 in rebates or choose financing as low as 0% for 60 months on the industry's most comfortable compact loaders. See Bobcat Enterprises in Hilliard, Reynoldsburg, or Zanesville today for incredible savings during the National Sales Event, and find the current specials and full line of products at bobcatent.com. Some restrictions apply. Length of contract and rate may vary. Offer ends June 30th, 2025. Bobcat Enterprises, celebrating 50 years of serving you.
Mother's Day is Sunday, May 11th. Just like Mom to the Rescue, Oakland Nursery has their annual flat sale with huge savings worthy of Mom. Select flats of marigolds, begonias, petunias, and impatiens, normally $19.99, now just $15.99 during this huge sale. 32 plants per flat, all for just $15.99, and all for Mom. Oakland Nursery is 35 acres of outdoor shopping and pure gardening pleasure. For 85 years, Central Ohio moms have looked forward to flowering Mother's Day gifts from Oakland Nursery.
Welcome to Tire Discounters. Oh, hiya, Phantom.
Mike, I think I saw a fox on my way in.
Oh, that was the Carfax Carfox. He was congratulating us on our Carfax Top-Rated Service Center Award.
I have always rated Tire Discounters at the very top.
Oh, thanks. So does Carfax. And not just for tires, but for all our services, too.
Alignment, brakes, shocks and struts, and more.
Yes, sir.
But, Mike, do you think people believe Carfax over me?
Well, you are the Phantom tire buyer.
Exactly.
Boating season is finally here, and Buckeye Lake Marina is your go-to destination for all your on-the-water needs. With the largest inventory in Central Ohio, you can choose from top brands like Bennington, South Bay, Crown Line, and more. Buckeye Lake Marina has it all. Pontoon boats, luxury tri-toon boats, even merch. Open 7 days a week to serve you better. Find your next dream boat at Buckeye Lake Marina. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com today for all your on-the-water needs. The good life, the lake life, starts at Buckeye Lake Marina.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Sports talk, weekend style. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Talking college football expansion right here. It is Fan Sports Saturday, 97.1 The Fan. I am Matt Fontana. He is Tim May. We're going to dive back into that conversation because I do want to specifically focus on Ohio State's interest in a potential 16-team playoff and really the job of the conference in this whole thing. But, Tim, we have some breaking NFL news this morning that Derek Carr has announced his retirement from the NFL. And we knew Carr had a shoulder injury. There was potential surgery on the table that would have sat him out for the entire 2025 season. He said in a statement that, basically a statement from the Saints, that surgery was on the table, but there was no guarantee that he would return to the level of strength, function, and performance even after the surgery. Yeah. And Carr said once he spoke to his wife and realized the best interest of both his family and the Saints organization was for him to retire. They drafted Tyler Shuck out of Louisville. Kind of the writing was on the wall. But Tim, that's shocking that Derek Carr is not just going to miss the season. He is now retiring from the NFL.
Yeah, there are all kinds of degrees of injuries, as we well know. Every knee injury is not the same, and same with shoulders. And shoulder injuries have probably ended as many NFL careers almost his knees when you think about it, and that's very tough because I've always liked Derek Carr. I don't know about you, his older brother got thrown to the Wolves, when he got drafted by the Texans way back when they didn't have an offensive line, you know what I mean? But Derek has always been, I don't know if you'd call him that big tease, but he's almost gotten you there, you know what I mean, a few times. And yet you never thought he was surrounded by the world's greatest team ever, but he's clearly a cut above when it comes to quarterbacks that have played in the league, and his stats, I think, back that up for the most part. But, yeah, it's quite unfortunate. Shuck, man, why not now, right? I mean, I'm sure they're pressing him because he is definitely a talented dude that can step in there. I know they were giving a lot of thought about it. I mean, sometimes I get calls, during the pre-draft months, occasionally from different teams. I'm not going to name those teams, but they are always meaning they're trying to turn over every leaf to see if people are what they appear to be. You know what I mean, in some form or fashion. And but I would think Chuck, he's got a lot of upside. The NFL is a totally different animal, but in the NFL, you can't spend a whole lot of time looking in the rearview mirror and having memorials, et cetera, to former players. You got to move on, and this is big news for the Saints for sure. But you would think, like you said, Matt, they had a sense that this was going to happen anyway.
Yeah, and I had to have. And I was a big Tyler Shuck guy, too. People said, the age, the injury history, that's why he fell. But there's a lot that I like there. The height, he's got the arm strength, doesn't turn the football over. And you see where the Saints went. Here's the thing on Derek Carr, which I think is so interesting. So in his third year of starting, he goes 12-3. He's got the Raiders. They're everything, right?
Yes.
In the next 8 years, he only reached the 10-win plateau one more time. And I was kind of, it was the interesting thing where when he started, just again, year 3, took his team to a 12-3 record. You think this guy's on the precipice of being elite, but the injuries certainly played a factor in that.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously ending his career, I would say relatively short. I mean, Carr is 35 years old now?
Mm-hmm.
He's 34, so he just turned 34. So, I mean, that's not, for a quarterback, not all that old. I think in the NFL sense, it's around the age you see maybe
but you're
other
talking about,
positions go. But quarterbacks.
But like you're getting to, it's the equity that he has accrued. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of playing the position of quarterback in the National Football League, and at times playing it at a very high level. I mean, you don't replicate that. You don't duplicate that with a rookie. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but that's what you lose. Yeah, he never quite got to that brass ring like we talked about. But man, you just figured one of these years that things were going to come together for him. It was going to happen. That's what's unfortunate.
And it's also another crazy turn to this offseason, a quarterback carousel where Cousins still getting dangled out there by the Falcons. What's Aaron Rodgers do? I do want to talk to you about Aaron Rodgers later in the show. We'll get to that coming up. But just add this on to another crazy offseason when it comes to the NFL and all the quarterback news getting around. It's Fan Sports Saturday Raider 97.1. The Fan, Matt Fontana and Tim May with you up till 1 o'clock today. So we were talking earlier about the Big Ten and the SEC. They're making this push, the 16-team expansion with the automatic qualifiers for the conferences in the Big Ten and the SEC. Tim, I threw it out to you. I'm so interested to hear your answer on this, where obviously these teams are pushing for it. They feel like we've got some of the best teams in college football. We deserve our slice of the pie. But inherently, by adding more teams, it could make it harder for some of the top teams to go win a national championship because, hey, you're just strictly adding more games. There are no buys in this. You got to play, and you're going to be adding what I think is maybe some better teams with some of the automatic qualifiers from the other one. So it got me thinking, what is the job of these conferences specifically for the college football playoff? Is it to say we won a national championship, or is it to say we got the most amount of teams in the playoffs? And you could say, well, more teams is a better crack at it. But listen, we know the 15 making it from the SEC or the Big Ten probably isn't going to have a look at winning a national championship. So I think it's interesting, Tim, because if I think the job is to win a national championship, they're actually making that harder because they're bringing more teams to the table here.
Yeah, they are. But the answer to your question is both. I mean, that's the idea. Number two, like I talked about in the previous segment, is bragging rights, man. That's what drives college sports. That's what's driven college football since, my dad was taking me and my older brother to Alabama games in the early 60s, and Bear Bryant, this guy, was turning things around at Alabama. I mean, it's all about bragging and, for one of another, because none of these programs are exactly alike. Neither of these conferences are exactly alike in a lot of ways, so many ways. Don't confuse it with the NFL yet in that regard. But yeah, you want both. I mean, you want a bigger slice of the pie, and then you want the ultimate slice. You want the vanilla ice cream on top, and that's what the national championship gives you. But without a doubt, they'll be pushing for the most teams they can get in. 5, maybe 6, who knows, 1 year. And then, it's like lottery tickets. The more you buy, the better chance you got, right? But
yeah, and I think
not necessarily.
And it is also, you're right, there are some lottery tickets where everybody even watches even watches it play out now, and you go, oh, that team doesn't have a chance, and all of a sudden they're in a national championship. Okay, that's why you play the game. And I need to tell myself that, Tim, that I need to give more credit to that because I don't think Ohio State would ever be in a position of being the fourth Big Ten team to make, but maybe they will, and maybe that is the year. I mean, I think we all go back, to that 2015 team, and man, what they should have been the year after they won the national championship, and if they would have made it. But I also sit here as an Ohio State fan, and I say, well, even at 12, I have a hard time ever believing there's a world that they don't make it. And I would also tell you,
they were the third team from the Big Ten last year. So
right, that's a good point too. Right,
after Indiana, et cetera. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I also think there is a world that if they ever didn't make it, then it's just they probably don't deserve to make it. And I would tell you that. I don't think that would ever happen. But if they can't make it as being a top 4 team in the Big Ten, then they probably don't deserve to go.
This is what has already changed, but it's definitely going to change big time. Then you know how you judge major college basketball teams now. Number one, from a coaching standpoint, did you make the tournament? And did you get to the second weekend? Did you get to the Sweet 16? I mean, that's if you're doing things right, you would think after about 4 or 5 years, you would at least do that, right? And so now you're going to have this one more way to discern who is and who isn't getting the job done. Are we wasting our money with this guy? Let's move on to this guy. There will be even quicker triggers, I think, on some coaching situations, whereas patience, a lot of times, patience pays off for you in major college football. It has in the past, but this is a whole new world, brother, with the NIL and the transfer portal, et cetera. And there's no reason why you can't get pretty good in 3 years if you're doing things the right way and you have that NIL machine behind you. That's the big push now for all these major college football teams, is getting that NIL machine behind them, because there's still only a handful that really have it going.
That's right. And again, especially when you talk about the changing of the goals, is it, yes, getting your NIL people in here, but it's also, to your point, not just about some teams making the playoffs. Sometimes they got to go beyond that and see what they can do. We're going to flip gears just a little bit as we're going to come up. We'll talk some basketball and recap a big win for the Cavs last night, trying to claw their way back in the series. We'll talk about that next right here. Fan Sports Saturday, 97.1, The Fan.
We're your radio home for the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. We may have a bit of a football problem. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
At Kroger, we've lowered prices on over 1,000 items across our stores so you can save even more. Whether you're shopping in-store or online at Kroger, we've lowered prices on thousands of the items your family wants and needs. And with lower prices, your dollar goes further every time you shop with us. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Check out our great selection of sweet surprises for Mother's Day. You'll find colorful bouquets, decadent chocolates, and more. Happy Mother's Day from Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Annie's first oil change wasn't as hard as she thought, because she went to AutoZone, where a friendly AutoZoner helped her find the right oil and save on an oil filter. He explained the job and showed her free how-tos on AutoZone.com. When she was done, AutoZone recycled her old oil for free. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
That's the sound of a Mountain Dew. And that's you enjoying its refreshing citrus kick. That's a cool breeze suddenly whistling through your hair.
Whoa!
That's you realizing you're now on a mountain.
This is epic!
That's you stating the obvious. That's you stepping up to the plate. That's you winning your kickball game. That's you taking another sip of your Do the Do.
Hey folks, it's Austin Ward here with a challenge. Well, a challenge might not be the best choice of words, so let's say an opportunity. Take the opportunity to lose 40 by the 4th with Awaken 180. Has a different ring to it when you have a finish line, doesn't it? 40 by the 4th. Maybe you looked at the scale this morning and it read 230 pounds. How about it reading 190 by the 4th of July? Maybe the scale says 300. Wouldn't the 260 number be a little nicer on your eyes and on your knees? It's attainable if you have the same results we all had with Awaken 180. I dropped 40 pounds in just 8 weeks. There's no reason you can't drop 40 by the 4th and be feeling as great as I still do now. Ring Independence Day in healthy, confident, and most important, feeling happy. You reached your goal with the help of Awaken 180. So fire up your grill and grab your beverage of choice because the weight's staying off thanks to free support for life. 40 by the 4th. Set your goal and reach it. Reserve your consultation online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
And I'm Jacob Reimer. The Cavs picked themselves up off the mat in Game 3, getting back in the series against the Pacers in a game in which they never trailed, winning 126-104. Donovan Mitchell put together a dominant performance with 43 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. Game 4 will be on Sunday. Western Conference semis in Denver. Aaron Gordon's 3 with 27 seconds left tied Game 3 against OKC, sending it to overtime where the Nuggets outscored the Thunder 11-2. They now lead the series 2-1. In baseball, the Guardians shut out the Phillies 6-0 for a series opening win, while the Reds were held scoreless in Houston with a 3-0 loss to the Astros. They both go again later tonight. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs last night, Game 3 between Florida and Toronto was decided in overtime with the Panthers pulling out the win 5-4, and the Jets even up the series with the Stars in a Game 2 win of their series. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan.
During weekend programming, pants are optional.
Look at my butt!
However, leather chairs may have been a bad choice. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Seems so easy to add a couple All-Stars back in the mix, and you get an NBA playoff game win. That's all that the Cavs needed to do last night, trying to claw their way back in their series against the Pacers, and we'll discuss it right here. It is Fan Sports Saturday, 97.1 The Fan. He is Tim May. I am Matt Fontana, and to get a little insight in the Cavs win last night, we bring in Danny Cunningham, Locked On Cavs. You can also subscribe to Danny's Substack. He was at the game last night for the Cavs' 126-104 win over the Pacers, 2-1 that series. Indiana still with the lead. But Danny, the Cavs get 3 of their injured players back. 2 of those guys were all-stars in Evan Mobley and Darius Garland, and who would have thought that made all the difference for the Cavs?
Yeah, pretty big difference. I know Darius Garland's stat line isn't overly impressive, but I thought the way he was able to alleviate some of the pressure that the Pacers have been putting on Donovan Mitchell in the first couple of games in this series was a pretty big deal for the Cavs. And, you know, Matt, I thought the way that Evan Mobley played that game defensively yesterday was one of the most impressive defensive performances I can recall from him. And that's saying something about a guy who was named Defensive Player of the Year last week. The Cavs went to a 3-2 zone at certain points in this game. It really bothered the Pacers. Mobley was the guy that was at the top of the arc in that. He was the one that was doing everything. He caused so much damage. He had 3 blocks, 3 steals, and, I just kind of think that doesn't do justice to how good he was on that end of the floor. And then ultimately, Donovan Mitchell had one of the best non-LeBron James playoff performances in the history of the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. I think that what he's done in this series so far in the first 3 games where he's averaging 41 points a game is nothing short of remarkable. And he has done everything he possibly can to will this team to victory.
Yeah, I was going to say, Danny, I mean, you got to compare somebody to somebody, right? It was an interesting analogy there. Hey, I was just wondering, could you sense the urgency on hand? Because obviously in Boston right now, the sky is falling, right? And everything else, the streets are, water pipes are bursting because of the situation the Celtics are in. But, you go down 3 games, you don't win an NBA playoff series, right? Could you sense an urgency last night?
I could, and Kenny Atkinson before the game declined to declare that game a must-win game. He sort of wanted the message to be that it's more about the Cavs and they need to just lean into who they are. And, I had heard some talk that it was just kind of about the Cavs wanted to double down on being themselves. And then after the game, Donovan Mitchell said, no, this was a must-win game. This was a game, and I know what he said. I know what Kenny Atkinson said, but this was a must-win game. And I could sense that urgency specifically from him on the floor. I also think the fact that, Darius Garland last night, if you watch the game, he's very clearly playing through something. He did not look, in my opinion, like the all-star version of Darius Garland. He at times, I thought, struggled to get up and down the floor. I think that those three guys playing, and Garland particularly, because that injury is very painful. I think he's playing through a lot of pain right now. I think that those three guys toughing it out and being able to play through what they're playing through right now really speaks to just that sense of urgency. Like, if the Cavs win game 2, if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't hit that incredible shot, if the Cavs are able to do, I don't know, any one of the 5 or 6 things that they did incorrectly in the final minute of the game, and it's 1-1, I don't know if Darius Garland plays last night. Like, I don't know if he's actually ready to be out there just by watching him. But because of where the Cavs were at situationally, I think that those guys playing in that game, particularly Garland, really, no matter what they say about it, oh, it's not a must-win or anything like that, those guys being available screams that there was a sense of urgency.
Talking some Cavs Pacers with Danny Cunningham, Locked On Cavs, and his Substack. You can follow him there. Danny, all right, must win, got it done. You're still down 2-1. Do you think the Cavs can come back and win this series?
Absolutely. I don't know how you can watch last night and think otherwise. Like, they are right now, at least on the sports books that I check, they're the favorites to win this series. And that, I think, says a lot about what this Cavs team is. And, you know, I do think that they can look themselves in the mirror. And obviously they outplayed the Pacers for that entire game last night. Indiana never led for a single second of the game. They can look themselves in the mirror and say, we've outplayed the Pacers for like 75% of the minutes in this series, and we're down 2-1 because of some bad luck. And that's not entirely wrong. That doesn't change the fact that they're down 2-1 and they don't really have a margin for error. But if they look anything on Sunday the way they looked last night and win a game 4, so a second victory here in Indianapolis, I firmly believe they'll win this series. And the other thing, too, that I keep coming back to with this team, guys, they were such a good shooting team from beyond the arc in the regular season. They have shot under 30% from three-point range in all 3 games so far. Obviously, they've won one of those games, and they should have won another one, but that's not going to last. At some point, they're going to start making threes again, and it's not as if they're missing, all of their three-pointers are tightly contested. They were 5 of 21 on wide-open three-pointers last night. They shot wide-open three-pointers at a 42% rate during the regular season. They're going to regress to the mean at a certain point. When they do that, they're going to look incredible because I think they've figured out some other things about how to play against the Pacers. So I would give them more than a chance, Matt. I think if they win on Sunday in Game 4, they're going to win this series.
I was going to ask you this. Does Donovan Mitchell, does he have that swagger about him? And swagger comes in all kinds of different ways, but does he have that? It appears he does, but that leadership quality that can elevate a team. You understand what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, in other words, LeBron has no qualms about speaking his mind, especially when in his heyday and stuff about that wasn't good enough, type stuff to teammates and things. And does Donovan, does he exude that same type of swagger or leadership there where the guys look up to him now as, okay, this guy's our touchstone here. This is what he thinks. Now we all have to rise. I mean, what is your observation of that?
I do think he has that. And I think that is the area where he has, Tim, grown the most since the Cavs acquired him from Utah a few years back. Like, he was obviously with the Jazz, a great player. He was one of the best scorers in basketball. He's one of the brightest young talents. But I don't know that he was necessarily somebody that I would have considered a winner, if you will, like doing all of the things that you need to do to be a championship caliber player on the floor. I don't know if he was doing all of those things in Utah. I know he was not doing all of those things in Utah at the same level he is right now. I think that his biggest growth since coming to Cleveland has been leadership. It has been doing the little things. Like last night, a big reason why the Cavs looked as good as they did is because they had 18 offensive rebounds. Do you know who led the team in offensive rebounds? It was Donovan Mitchell tied with Evan Mobley. Like, he is, as a 6'3" guard, you wouldn't necessarily expect that, but he has a sense of the moment that I think has been incredibly rare in this franchise's history.
Yes.
He has a sense of the moment that he knows what his team needs and when they need it. Sometimes it's hey, Evan Mobley's having a great game. We got to find ways to get this guy the ball. Sometimes it's the same could be said about Darius Garland. Sometimes it's no, our back is against the wall. I've got to go score 43 points and have one of the best non-LeBron James playoff games in franchise history on the road, and he's capable of doing all of that. I just think that, to me, is really what is the most impressive thing about Donovan so far.
He's led them. They still got more work to do, though. Still down 2-1. Game 4 is tomorrow night. Danny, really appreciate your time, bro. You can go follow him on Twitter at RealDCunningham, Locked On Cavs, and subscribe to his Substack. As a Cavs fan, Danny, bring us home a winner. All right, let's get back to Cleveland, even 2-2, all right?
Yeah, I'm sure I'll play great tomorrow night because that has a very big impact on what happens here.
Well, go play golf well. Tim, he's getting the golf course later today.
I'm playing golf at 2 o'clock, so let me get off the phone.
There you go. Four, ladies and gentlemen. Four
is right. There he goes, Danny Cunningham. Appreciate it. And again, follow him on Twitter at RealDCunningham. And Tim, what you and Danny were talking about right there was so right on about what I think Cavs fans have really understood and kind of realized about Donovan Mitchell. There are times he goes, I need to take this game over. I am going to take this game over. There's other times they need something else from me, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I don't want to say that's a true leader because I think there's a lot of different ways you can lead, but that's just got to be so comfortable for the rest of his team to kind of look and say, this guy's just going to do what we need him to do. If I take care of my job, we're going to be in an all right spot.
Yeah, and the transition of going from I'm going to get mine to I'm going to get us ours is a big transition for some players who have to, kind of kowtow a little bit, when they first come into the league and stuff. And, they're just trying to prove themselves as capable. But when you have a guy of that capability, then taking over as the leader and people know they can lean on him and then he makes it known that he's going to lean on you. You go to a different level. I mean, you saw that with the Ohio State football team last year in the playoffs. I mean, that was a team replete with leaders that got their act together, and it can take you places, man. It should not be discounted.
No, absolutely not. And like you said, sometimes you got to look at those types of players to say, we got to step up.
Right.
This is your time to shine. Well, some other teams,
there you go.
They need their stars to pick it. They do, because you mentioned it, the sky is falling right now for the Boston Celtics as they get ready to go. Tim, trying to avoid to go down 0-3 this afternoon. We'll take a look across the NBA playoffs, and we'll do it coming up. He's Tim May. I am Matt Fontana. This is Fan Sports Saturday right here on 97.1 The Fan.
Tweet from a listener. Are you carrying the Buckeye game today? Considering we've never not carried one, yes. The answer is yes. The Fan.
At Meijer, we work hard to bring more locally grown goodness to life with a farm-fresh selection of crisp vegetables and juicy, ready-to-eat fruit. Whether topping off kebabs on the grill or adding healthy color to a leafy green salad, your family will definitely enjoy the delicious taste of Meijer produce. Plus, you'll appreciate the selection and savings we have to offer. That's the fresh-picked good life, priced for real life. We work hard to make life a good deal better at Meijer.
Want to learn about Pick 4 from the Ohio Lottery? Okay, Pick 4 is a daily draw game where you pick 4 individual numbers between 0 and 9 that can be played straight, where each number must be drawn in an exact order or box where they can be drawn in any order. You can win up to $2,500 on a 50-cent bet. Learn more at OhioLottery.com or the Ohio Lottery app. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly. Want to go back to the radio? Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Wendy's has this new Cajun Crunch chicken sandwich. And to be honest, I'm kind of crushing hard on this Sammy. It's packed with bold Cajun flavors and topped with crispy onions for a satisfying crunch. All on Wendy's iconic spicy chicken sandwich. It's honestly kind of my dream sandwich. I hope it likes me back. For a sandwich you'll love, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location.
Legend has it, underneath the NJM insurance offices lies a mysterious room of long-forgotten, moldy mascot memorabilia. Often pitched by ad agencies, always rejected by NJM. Is it real? We may never know. But what is real is NJM's dedication to doing what's right for their customers. Astoundingly, they're proud to put policyholders first. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. Learn more at njm.com.
Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Newman Roofing, as part of their 2025 Commitment to Community initiative, is proud to partner with 10 TV and The Fan to launch Raise the Roof, honoring local heroes who are going above and beyond in their communities. Newman Roofing wants to recognize the volunteers, educators, first responders, and everyday difference makers who are making a meaningful impact in their towns to be recognized on 10 TV and The Fan. Stay tuned as we begin announcing the selected honorees who truly embody the spirit of Newman Roofing's commitment to community.
All your favorite and least favorite fan shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just type in 971 The Fan to the search bar and hit that subscribe button. It's free.
We're the land of the free and the home of the sunburnt, freckled fat guy.
Do it now.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With Truehold, you can sell your home for its current value, so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since Truehold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit Truehold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio is your Medicaid plan for more benefits, more rewards. We know that good health means more than just seeing a doctor when you're sick. Eligible members can receive extras like home-delivered meals and family essentials, like baby carriers and kids' school supplies. Members can even earn rewards for playing mobile health trivia games. Learn more at AmeriHealthCaritasoh.com and call the Ohio Medicaid Consumer Hotline at 1-800-324-8680 to choose AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We're looking ahead to a beautiful weekend with mostly sunny skies. High temperatures into the mid-70s here for this afternoon. And then for tonight, mostly clear and cool with temperatures into the upper 40s. And on your Mother's Day, still tracking more sunshine, high temperatures into the mid-70s. And we'll keep those 70s in the forecast here for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
We test marketed naming the show A Guy and His Butlers.
Oh, that is very touching.
But we thought Bishop and Friends had a better ring to it.
Weekday mornings at 9.
The Fan. Live, local, and still slightly drunk.
I'm not drunk, all right? I just have a speech impediment.
This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Well, some Boston fans might be that situation, getting a little bit tipsy this afternoon if it doesn't go all that well against the Knicks. 3:30, Boston, New York. 2-0 lead for the Knicks. Talking some NBA playoffs right here on Fan Sports Saturday, 97.1 The Fan. He is Tim May. I'm Matt Fontana. And Tim, trust me, I am the furthest thing you could find from a Boston Celtics fan, right? Like, they have just rained down on my Cavs parade for a long time. Just a long history of rivalry. But it's also like, it's hard for me to sit here and say, like, I'm rooting for the Knicks. It's more like an anti-Boston thing. But I would tell you this, Tim, I did not see this, of them being down 0-2. You know, the Cavs situation, when we were talking about the Cavs and the Pacers, where there's injuries involved with that and everything, that's not the case. I know Jaylen Brown's battling some injury right there, but this is just more about the Knicks and Jalen Brunson and somehow late in games, Mikal Bridges showing up and just taking it to Boston, and they're down 0-2 in this, which is just incredible to me.
Yeah, but Matt, this is what's befuddling. I even had trouble getting words out there. I mean, I think the Celtics were up like 18 or 20 in both of those games, and then you blow both of them, and then the further coinky dink is Bridges has a big steal at the end of both of them, and that basically make the difference. And this is what's funny about we can talk about computer simulations and experts' predictions and stuff. The ball at the end of the game has still got to go through the hoop, or you've got to keep it from going through the hoop. It's that simple, and sometimes coaches can only do so much. But it really looked like, from the reports I've read about the first two games, it has looked like in playoff situations, we're talking playoffs, the Celtics have sort of been looking around the court on who's the guy, who's going to be our guy. And meanwhile, the Knicks had just got this nitty-gritty kind of approach to the game where they wouldn't go away and then stepped up at the end and made the plays they had to make. I'm talking about in the first two games. And, it's you can be the favorite all you want. Matter of fact, I think the Celtics are favored again today, right, by 5 or 6 points in the Madison Square Garden. Are you kidding me? They just what are you looking at, odds makers? Well, they're looking at the potential as opposed to what they've actually seen with their own two eyes. That when it's push come to shove, the Knicks have made the plays either offensively or defensively that have pretty much shocked the Celtics. And I wanted to ask you this because you know a lot about the NBA a lot more than I do, but we just talked about the Cavs being in a must-win situation last night, and they got the job done, but they didn't want to declare it that until afterwards. The Celtics are on record saying they got to win this game. So that just adds pressure, but what's wrong with that? I mean, as the old saying goes, C.J. Stroud, once said, pressure's a privilege, and you go from there. But I don't know. I don't even know how to read this series anymore.
No, it's so crazy, too, because a lot of people wanted to make the comparisons to the Cavs and the Pacers, where here's the higher seed losing 2 games at home. Mm-hmm. Again, you talked about the eerie similarities right here where they blew 20-point leads. There was so much. But I sat there and I said the anomaly for the Cavs is they're injured, and they were missing some guys. And I'm not trying to make that as an excuse, but it's a little bit different. But here's my other thing on that, though. They're not playing the Knicks. Because if the Cavs were down 2-0 to the Knicks instead of the Pacers, and I don't mean to make this out to be an anti-Indiana Pacers thing, I look at that Knicks team and I go, they're good. They scare me. They have teams. They have players on that. They have 4 guys that I think are a tough matchup for anybody with Brunson, Anunoby. Would you add in Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns? And then you add Josh Hart in, and you add all these other guys. Like, they're a team that – and I know Boston is very good, and still, again, Jaylen Brown's battling his injuries, but I think the difference there is they're down 0-2 to a much better team.
I agree.
In the Knicks than the Cavs are to the Pacers, so that's why it's a must-worry for Boston. And you're right, it's crazy to look at this. 5-point favorites for Boston at the Garden. By the way, Tim, I can get you in this afternoon. You want to fly out with me? Cheapest ticket, $637.
That's the other thing they're facing. The fervor. Right. Yeah. The fervor is going to be through the roof, so to speak. And I'm with you. I just all playoff series, like you just pointed out, are not made equal. And this is but if the Celtics are what a lot of people think they're all about, we're going to find out starting at 3:30. That regional game, as I call it in college football, 3:30 kickoff. But I like watching those kind of games because in a way, watching these kind of games because in a way they're almost an elimination game. Yeah. You just don't know it yet, But clearly the Celtics understand what's at stake, and now you got to see what are people made of.
Absolutely. I think the NBA's got to sit back, too, and say we've had some really – obviously, the ratings are through the roof. You've had some great series. The nightcap tonight is 8:30, Golden State in Minnesota. Obviously, the tough thing here is with Steph Curry going down with that hamstring injury. You just sit there and you wonder if Golden State is going to have anything for Minnesota in the rest of it. And then I'm going to go back to last night, too, Tim, where we saw – again, I don't want to say must-win game because that series is so close between Denver and Oklahoma City, but you had one where Denver steals one in game one, then they just get completely blown out by 40 points in game two.
Boat raced.
Boat raced. Then they come back last night, win in overtime at home, where Oklahoma City only scored 2 points in overtime. They had 9 possessions in overtime and only scored once. And Denver gets the win there to take a 2-1 series lead. But again, by the seeding, which I think is an interesting point of all of this, by the seeding, this shouldn't be happening. But Tim, I tell you, man, I think Denver's the better team than Oklahoma City. They got the experience. They got players that have been there before.
Yeah, and now they've got the momentum. I mean, momentum is a real thing. Now, I say that, and I think way back when the Celtics got the Celtics got blown out by the Lakers, or the Lakers got blown out by the Celtics way back in the 80s, and you're going, well, this mismatch, this series is over, and the other came back and won it. Man, I'm getting them mixed up in my head now. I got too many series in my head, Matt. But the bottom line is every NBA game, like you just pointed out about those 3 Denver games, they're all 3 different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way the games went, obviously the final result, etc. But you never really know what you're going to see. Just like you talk about with Stephon Curry, I mean, you never know how much something is really bothering somebody until you see it live and in front of you when games have to be won or lost. And I think these are very interesting series when you look at them.
Absolutely. And again, it's a lot of fun to watch where you're going to sit back and see the big names and don't even have to be that big of an NBA fan to sit there and say 3:30 today. Right. You got Boston and you got the Knicks and what's going to end up being a real, again, decider of the series. Here again, Boston gets back into it, you'll believe it. Knicks go up 3-0. We know this series is going to be over, and it's going to be a nice
historically.
Walk there. And we're down to the final 8, which I think is so interesting too about how fast things go. Where the NBA season is so long, and the regular season is so long, and you got a lot of quick series in the opener there, the opening round. But now we're down to it. You got 2 games today, you got 2 games tomorrow, and before you know, we'll be in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, getting ready to go for the finals. It just moves so fast, so quick.
I don't mean to throw my little personal philosophies about things out there, but what I always remind people about NBA games, NBA teams, they're all all-star teams. You know what I mean? Meaning there are guys there that on any given, it's almost like the PGA Tour now. There's a guy that can just rise out of nowhere, and you go, where did those 4 straight birdies come from? Everybody has got talent, but like we were just talking about a while ago about putting it together as a team. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, what he has done to become that big stick. That big stick in the middle of the court there that everybody can rely on, not just for scoring, but for leadership and stuff. You never know when that chemistry set's gonna work, and we're seeing it live and in color right now in the NBA playoffs. I think on both sides.
Absolutely, and that just takes one quick little stretch there to get it back and getting it rolling there, and that's all you're going to see. So it'll be a great day of basketball coming up, and we got plenty of that as well to discuss. But a part of an Ohio State alumni potentially replacing a legend. It's going to happen right up here in Cleveland. It's Quinshon Judkins. Nick Chubb might not be returning to the Cleveland Browns. Want to discuss that with Tim as we come back as well. It's Fan Sports Saturday right here, 97.1.
Common Man here for Weed Man. I always have the greenest lawn in the neighborhood. It's luscious. I swear by 2 things, water and Weed Man. Weed Man is locally owned and operated by Corbin and Audrey. They will make sure your lawn is weed-free and looking gorgeous. Of course, they get rid of weeds, but they also do aeration, mosquito control, grub control, crabgrass prevention, and flea and tick control for your 4-legged friends. For a free quote, give them a call, 614-733-3747, weedmanusa.com. Tell them Common Man sent you.
Legend has it, underneath the NJM insurance offices lies a mysterious room of long-forgotten, moldy mascot memorabilia. Often pitched by ad agencies, always rejected by NJM. Is it real? We may never know. But what is real is NJM's dedication to doing what's right for their customers. Astoundingly, they're proud to put policyholders first. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. Learn more at njm.com.
Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Sick of the long security lines and flight delays? Travel on your terms. Go RVing and get ready to save at RCD RV's Open House. From May 3rd through the 10th, take advantage of huge deals on new and pre-owned RVs. Our Delaware, Heath, and Pataska locations will feature exclusive sale pricing on all new and pre-owned travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes with special financing rates available, plus discounts on camping accessories. Come by today. We'll have your road ready by Memorial Day. Find unbeatable savings, unforgettable fun, and everything you need to hit the road at rcdrv.com.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Common Man here. Get 50% off your windows, plus no interest and no payments for 12 months and a free entry door with purchase. Restrictions apply. Give them a call, 614-502-5220. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rockman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. Garnish your Bloody Mary with sports talk. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
It's never easy when you have to say goodbye to one of your best players, a historical player, and frankly a fan favorite. But the Browns all but did that this week, and it's going to be an former Ohio State player who's going to have to pick up some of that slack. We're discussing it right here. This is the Fan Sports Saturday on 97.1 The Fan. He is Tim May. I am Matt Fontana. And we're talking a little Browns with this week GM Andrew Berry. He was on with Ken Carman and Anthony Lima up here in Cleveland. And Tim, he said basically it's unlikely that Nick Chubb will be returning to the Cleveland Browns. And Chubb, I can tell you, one of the most popular players that this franchise has frankly ever had. He is one of the best players that this franchise has ever had, but he had to overcome yet another injury last year after suffering a really just bad knee injury back in 2023. Comes back last year, gets some games in, unfortunately breaks his foot and had to miss the rest of the year. Now, injuries sound like you're not a reason for this, or part of the reasoning for the Browns here, because Andrew Berry said it sounds like he's healthy. He's recovered now 2 years out from the knee injury. Broken bones heal. It was just a broken foot. But the writing was on the wall. The Browns go out, they draft Quinshon Judkins, which we're all extremely familiar with him, but they also get Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, which I liked that pick a lot as well. The writing was on the wall, and at this point they say it's unlikely. You never say never, but unlikely that Nick Chubb will come back. And, it's sad to see that, but it's also, all good things must come to an end. And I don't think it's ever an easy thing when a star player or a fan favorite has to leave a team. And that's what's happening here.
No. What's unfortunate is you could see the handwriting on the wall last season, when Nick did get back a little bit. I mean, it's not the same player, man. How could you be the same player? And that's why running backs, that's why running backs they're not a dime a dozen, because the really good ones can really do good things for you in their limited time. But that's why running backs are not the commodity they used to be until you really need one, right? Yeah. And because they do get banged up, they do get hit really hard, and when they just lose that little bit of an edge, even Eddie George lost a little bit of an edge, at one point. Mm-hmm. And that was that. And that was the biggest, strongest looking guy, you're ever going to see. So it is unfortunate. It is a changing of the guard, but every team, every running back goes through it, but every team goes through it. And and the Browns fans should have felt good about what Nick Chubb brought to the table, because he was all about playing as hard as he could every time he had the ball in his hands. And wow, you can't say that about everybody. So salute to Nick Chubb.
Absolutely, and that's what makes it tough is, what else did you want? It was all going to come to an end. But now the fairy tale is that he's standing on the field and holding up a Super Bowl trophy, and he gets to say, this is great, and I'm going to leave. But this is more often kind of how it goes. Correct. Where, and I know you've obviously covered football for a long time, and you hear even college players sometimes say this is, you want to be done with the game before the game is done with you. You would love to be the one to dictate when it's time to go. And I do think that Nick Chubb will play football next year, and I think he's going to have some suitors out there, and hopefully he can keep playing, where that's the other kind of sting for some Browns fans is you're going to have to watch him play somewhere else.
Right.
There's rumors the Steelers want to pick him up. You
Right.
know, that, man, what would that be for Browns fans? That's an even tougher pill to swallow in the whole thing.
Right. And the thing about it is, you're not that other team is not going to be able to lean on him like the Browns did at one point in his career for a while, an extended period, because when you get something, you're going to get a quality effort from him. You're going to get 100% of what he's got, but he can't carry you for the season. Is got to be your belief in what if you go after him and stuff. But it's funny because the Tim May show I do, my little podcast, that little thing I did with Jake Ballard last week, and obviously Jake Ballard has a Super Bowl ring because he played in that Super Bowl. The Giants Super Bowl victory with Eli Manning over the one of their wins over the Patriots. But he also suffered a career-altering knee injury in that game and never was the same after that. But he got his ring. But the point is, about football, it's one of the few sports, really, where somebody else tells you, and we talked about this, where somebody else tells you you're done. In other words, very few guys get to go to that finish line and declare themselves done. I mean, and the guys that do usually do it sooner rather than later, and we've seen several examples of that. But it's just too bad that Nick Chubb didn't have that final moment in the sun, man, because he deserves it, at least with the Browns.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I can say, and I tweeted about this, I said, listen, I will always be sad about Nick Chubb not playing here anymore. But, Tim, I tell you, I'm excited for Quinshon Judkins, and I'm super excited for Dylan Sampson. And I was one in the pre-draft process of this draft class, which was just stacked with running backs and quite a few, Big Ten guys as well. But when you talked about Q and you talked about Travion Henderson, I leaned Travion by a slight edge. There was just some explosiveness there when he got to that edge, the speed that was there. But I understood that some teams might have looked at the injury history and not, been, I don't say scared off, but this guy still was a high draft pick, and I think he's going to do really well with the Patriots, to be honest with you. But specifically to the Browns, I think they saw something with Quinshon Judkins about the zone that they want to run, and maybe he fits kind of their system a little bit better. Then they go back and get Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, and I see, okay, they're doing what Detroit is trying to do. They're doing what so many of these other teams are trying to replicate with the boom and zoom is what they used to call it, going back to Boom Heron and Ohio State back in the day. But you want your speed back, your power back. You want to be able to try to recreate what they have going up there, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. And I'm not going to put that on two rookies that haven't played in the NFL yet, but I am excited and I'm happy about what the Browns are able to do to kind of flip that room over. And like you mentioned about the running back position earlier, sometimes that's got to be quick, and they flipped it pretty quick.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, you would think after a while, and I think most NFL teams pretty much do this. Now, I don't want to blanket everybody. You got to understand, one running back can't carry the entire load, for a 17-game regular season and extended playoffs, get to the Super Bowl. But it's really funny that the Browns drafted 2 running backs and 2 quarterbacks in that draft. But that's another story. The thing about Thunder and Lightning, and that was actually it's lightning and thunder. I got it in reverse order there. It's the way it actually comes in nature. But Travion and Quinshon, Quinshon got leaned on by Ole Miss too much his first 2 seasons, still showed up for work, right? You give him literally half the workload last year when they were able to split and finally get what, like you pointed out, a finally healthy again Travion Henderson, who stayed healthy through the season, by the way. And you see what you get, man. You get a fastball and a hardball. And then you also get a guy in Quinshon Judkins who can run through arm tackles at the line of scrimmage, like you're talking about the scheme they're running and stuff, and give you that little burst, that little 30-yard burst. As he showed against Notre Dame, he's got 35 yards in it, but maybe not 50. But Travion can take it to the house. So these guys were still different kind of fellows. I think they're both going to help their teams because Quinshon is a tough out, man. He's going to run through a lot of forearms. If in fact that's what you got to meet him in the hole, and that's what stands out about him. And like I said, he's he's fresh compared to what he was even this time a year ago when he was still coming back from having all those multiple carry games, multiple double-figure carry games for Ole Miss. He's a fresh customer right now, and it looks like he's eager to get to work.
You were talking about that, which reminded me so much about Coach Day as well, because he said when we went and got Quinshawn, there was a conversation we had with Travion to say, like, this is still good for you.
Oh, yeah.
You could look at this and say, wait a minute, you guys are bringing another running back. I am RB1 here. You're taking carries away, but that conversation that had to be had and the understanding that Travion had to have to say this is actually going to be good. Now, certainly, perfect, right? Both those guys, high draft picks. They both go win a national championship, and they were both integral parts of that national championship. And I think you could just see on so many drives for the Buckeyes last year where that defense was on their heels, and they're just getting beat up. Oh, wait, here comes a fresh Travion Henderson, and he's going to rip off a 20-plus yard run for you. And I just think so much of what might translate to the NFL and what, they always say that the NFL, in a way, not emulates college. I think college is just such a different game from the NFL now. But there are so many things where now you're seeing these two backs and how that's working on both the NFL and the college game, and that's the future, I think.
Yeah, and still, when you hand the ball to somebody or throw it to somebody, you want that person to be capable of making a play on his own. That's what separates the NFL finally. I mean, it's the prima ballerinas up there. You know what I mean? It's not I don't want to get into some kind of analogy about ballerinas. But
I was getting, if you got one, I want to hear it. I don't have one.
Well, I didn't want to disparage anybody in dance. You know what I mean, so to speak. But the thing about Quinshawn, Quinshawn, one of the things that really improved with him, because he didn't really have to do this that much at Ole Miss, for example, was pass protection. Yeah. Meanwhile, Travion is a pass protector extraordinaire. I mean, that's a 3-down back if, in fact, you get somebody on a roll to a certain extent. But yeah, it's really interesting. The Browns took two of the better running backs from the Southeastern Conference over the last 3 years, were their two picks at the running back position. They're looking at where people have been, the game, what level game they've had to play the last several years. I think that's my opinion. They don't do enough of that sometimes in the NFL. Look at this guy's stats, but where's he coming from? They're used to having to bring it every day when you play in the SEC and the Big Ten. Like I said, Quinshawn was in the SEC for 2 years before he showed up at Ohio State, and so he and Sampson. I'm curious to watch that, to watch how that unfolds this preseason camp.
100%. I'm the same way. And you look at some of these teams, the Eagles keep drafting Georgia players.
Yes.
You see some of these teams that keep drafting Ohio State players over and over again. You're drafting guys that are winners.
It's not rocket science, man. It's like, what are the guys who have done it? And the flip side of it is, though, you've also got to pay attention, like with Quinshawn. They took a lot of tread off his tire at Ole Miss. Well, he got some of that tread back. I'm not sure he got a recap, but he got a lot of that tread back last year, and now he's also coming in with a full steam of confidence, especially the way he played in the national championship game, 3 touchdowns. Are you kidding me?
Well, a guy that did play in the national championship game for Ohio State, number 1 for the 2026 draft class, and he's a Buckeye. I'm going to tell you who it is and run through the list with Tim. We'll do all of that coming up. You're listening 97.1 The Fan. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Get Eco.
ECO. Aaron, which brand of air conditioner is the most energy efficient?
It's the one that's had its outside coils cleaned correctly.
Well, I can wash those off with a garden hose, right?
No.
Why not?
Humidity mixes with dust and pollen to create a microthin film of sticky paste that gets baked onto those hot outside coils.
And that baked-on stuff keeps my coils from releasing their heat into the atmosphere.
Which means your system has to run longer, which uses a lot more energy and it shortens the life of your air conditioner.
Get Eco.
ECO. How do we get that baked-on stuff off?
Remove the exterior shroud, then spray the coils from the inside out with a special eco-friendly solvent.
Can I rinse the solvent off with a garden hose?
Yeah, but only from the inside out.
Or I could just pay Eco to do it.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco doesn't take shortcuts. We do it the right way every time.
Get Eco professional coil cleaning for just $468.
Hey sports cards fans, I'm Jeff with my buddy Adam, and we run Huggy Kissy Bear breaks on the Whatnot app. What's a card break? Simple. We open boxes of cards live, you pick your team, and we send you all the hits. With over 2,300 5-star reviews, we're all about you. New to card breaks? No sweat. We've got you covered with a sweet welcome package from us. Download the Whatnot app and follow us on Instagram and TikTok to view all of our past Sugar Bear hits. Huggy Kissy Bear breaks, where collectors win big.
AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio is your Medicaid plan for more. More benefits, more rewards. We know that good health means more than just seeing a doctor when you're sick. Eligible members can receive extras like home-delivered meals and family essentials, like baby carriers and kids' school supplies. Members can even earn rewards for playing mobile health trivia games. Learn more at AmeriHealthCaritasOH.com and call the Ohio Medicaid Consumer Hotline at 1-800-324-8680 to choose AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio.
Welcome to Tire Discounters. Oh, you're the Carfax guy.
The Carfox from Carfax.
Wow.
And you, sir, work at Tire Discounters.
I sure do.
The Carfax top-rated service center.
Oh, right. You know, a lot of that's because of our services. But people think we're just about tires.
Maybe it's your name.
Yeah?
Tire Discounters. And your jingle.
Oh, you like it?
I think it needs something.
Yeah? Like what?
Hit it! Plus brakes, oil changes, shocks, and struts, and more. Now that speaks to me.
Guess what? Our ugly faces are on YouTube. Search 971 The Fan and watch all your favorite shows. Laptop, phone, tablet, smart TV, we're everywhere. Bring us in the bedroom with you. Yes, The Fan.
Looking to sell your home? Don't pay 6% commission. Call my guys at Sell for 1% Realtors. They're full service, not a do-it-yourself kind of thing. On average, customers save over $10,000. Give them a call, 614-451-6616. That's 451-6616.
If my buttery smooth voice represents the photos in your social media feed,
then this is closer to what real life is like. Social media can be fun, but remember, it's only showing you
the filtered version of life. So when social media is stressing you out, check in on yourself and remember, it's not the whole story. For more tips on reducing your stress, go to mha.ohio.gov/check-in. A message from the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services.
Hey, it's Anthony from my friends at the Honda dealership here in Central Ohio, Germain Honda of Dublin. You know the brand, you know the reliability and the styling. Now get to know the deals. Grab a new 25 Honda HR-V, a 25 Accord SE, or even a 25 CR-V LX all-wheel drive for 0% up to 36 months. Talk to my man Rich. Get the right vehicle, the right deal at the right dealer. Germain Honda of Dublin on Sawmill Road just south of 270.
Summer 2025 is bringing something wild to your Columbus Zoo. The all-new North America Trek opens this summer, a reimagined zoo region inspired by your national parks. Get ready to get up close with Mexican wolves, black bears, river otters, bald eagles, and more in breathtaking new habitats. Discover local wildlife and conservation in action like never before. Plan your visit today. Visit columbuszoo.org for details.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
The Fan Poll is brought to you by Caster Connection. Visit CasterConnection.com to shop online or to work with our Caster Solution Specialists.
We firmly believe it's appropriate to tailgate before a youth soccer game. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
I know we just got done with the NFL draft, and it's hard to think about next year's draft, but I got a little bit of an accolade to be given to one Ohio State player who an insider at CBS Sports is the number 1 defensive player for the 2026 draft. I think we all probably know who it is. It's Fan Sports Saturday right here on 97.1 The Fan. I am Matt Fontana, and he is Tim May. So I was flipping through Tim and Chris Trapasso of CBS Sports, and I love Chris's. He does a lot of mock drafts. He does a lot of college football things, and he came out with his already top 10 defensive prospects for the 2026 NFL Draft. The number 1 defensive player heading into the season to him is, of course, Caleb Downs, Ohio State. And just a quick write-up, and this is something that, none of us, we all know, obviously, about Caleb Downs. But just as he says, starting about what he did, in the SEC at Alabama, 18 years old, 100 tackles. Then he comes to Ohio State, 82 tackles, 2 more interceptions, and 6 pass breakups. They just say lightning quick reflexes. He's got range and a Pro Bowl level tackling reliability, and he enters the season as the best defender in the country, and according to Chris, the best defensive prospect for the 2026 class. And I mean, obviously, we've seen Ohio State players just littered, 14 this past draft, not anything new of them going in the top 10. But yeah, I'd agree with Chris, Tim, that I think that right now we're entering a season where Caleb Downs is projected to be a top 10 pick, if not even maybe even top 5.
Well, here's the thing. He's plug and play. And not only that, but he's plug and play and can improvise. And that's what stands out about him more than anything because, we had Lathan Ransom on the show a couple of weeks ago before the draft, and I call those two guys the sidewinder missiles on the Ohio State defense last year because finally in the last half of the year they would just come off the rails like on an F-16 and go to the find the heat source, right? Yeah. And but that was because they just put in ridiculous amounts of effort in preparation. And the thing about Caleb Downs could be, I kind of broached this subject, but never got around to writing about it or talking much about it in the spring, but I'm going to later. I think Caleb Downs would be a hell of a coach, but he's going to make so much money being a pro football player and might decide not to go that route. But he understands the game, but he also understands that preparation is what gets you to that spot quicker than just reflex. Yeah. And there aren't, believe it or not, man, there's still in this day where specialized sports, you start playing a specialized sport when you're 11 years old and move on from there. There still aren't kids or young men that get it, that it takes more once you get to a certain level to beat the other guy than just your pure instincts and athletic ability. He's blessed with all of those things, plus, he's a stickler for detail. And he like we were talking about earlier about Donovan Mitchell, he holds his teammates to that level. I mean, of responsibility of you got to know what you're going to do. And I know I'm talking long and hard about this, but the bottom line is yes, he's going to be a plus, a first game starter, no matter where he goes. I do believe, and that's if he gets in the right place because you've got to use him to his capability. Is his unpredictability, meaning he can line up here, he can line up there and do things for you. Don't make him a classic over-the-top safety because that could be a waste of what he really brings to the table, which is, like I said, finding the fire and going to put it out. And that's where he really is a notch above. And it's all about his preparation and then throw on top of that, like I said, everything else that he has going for him that you want in a quality football player.
That's it. He's just a football player to me.
Oh,
I see him just making these plays. He's in the return game. I see him everywhere. And you're right. When teams are starting to evaluate some of these guys, yeah, you can watch the tape and you see him make the plays and you see him do all this, but it is going to be the other things, those types of intangibles that'll kind of push him up. And I think it's so interesting, too, because watching college football, and obviously, Tim, you've watched for a long time, too, there are just some of these guys, you look and you go, he's the best player on that field. Even with all these, five-star guys or these are Power 5, college football starters out there. And it's just every so often there's a few guys that just stand above them.
But they
in a way.
Yeah, they want to, what really stands out about those guys from that group, then the guys that really stand out are the guys that want to be in the mix.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy Katzenmoyer, I remember Jim Haycock told me this about Andy Katzenmoyer a long time ago. If you watch film of of Ohio State defensively when Andy Katzenmoyer was there. He was in the last, this is back when they watched film, and then it moved to video by then, but they still call it film. But they use film vernacular, like last frame. Look at the guys who are in the last frame at the end of a play. Andy Katzenmoyer was almost always in that frame, meaning he was in on the action. And Caleb Downs loves being in on the action. The second down play against Texas in the famous goal line stand capped by Jack Sawyer's obvious return, fumble return for a touchdown. But the second down play where all of a sudden Caleb steps up into the slot on the left end and basically runs right by the guy who might have had responsibility, might not. He might not have been expected to be there. But Caleb got all bummed out because he didn't make the tackle on that play, but he forced it wide, and Lathan Ransom, the other sidewinder, comes in and blows it up, and suddenly it's third and 9 or 3rd and 8, to the goal line instead of at the 1 yard line. Bottom line is his instincts, but his preparation put him there, but then he made the play or almost made the play. It's really funny how bummed out he was about that. But at the end of the game, when Texas is throwing the ball, where is Caleb Downs? He's deep safety, comes up, makes the interception, game over. So that's what Caleb Downs brings to you in a heartbeat. Those two plays are great examples of what he can mean to your defense.
So again, Chris Trapasso, top 10 defensive players entering the 2026 NFL draft. And obviously all these guys have a season to go in college. So he has Caleb Downs as number 1. Caleb Banks, the defensive tackle out of Florida, is 2. TJ Parker, an edge out of Clemson, is 3. Jermon McCoy, a corner out of Tennessee, is at number 4. Peter Woods, the D tackle out of Clemson, is 5. Ruben Bain, the edge rusher from Miami, is at number 6. Avion Terrell, a corner out of Clemson, is 7. Kedrick Falk is a D lineman out of Auburn, is 8. Number 9 is Dennis Sutton, the edge out of Penn State. Danny Dennis Sutton is number 9. And then Mikael Kamara, the edge out of Indiana, is at number 10. So you got a couple of Big Ten guys in there, but it's certainly led by Caleb Downs. But I want to run through the list too, Tim, because I think it's interesting that obviously Caleb's the only safety. There's a couple corners and in today's day and age about the pass rusher, they're always going to be there. But this draft seems to be one that'll be maybe a step up from what it was last year. So I want to bring this up because that's so interesting. That's some high praise, I think, for Caleb Downs that he deserves. About you're going into a really solid draft with some big names on that list, and they think he's the number 1 defender heading into it.
But almost everybody they listed there, and Caleb Downs fits this definition. They force the action. I mean, they have the ability to force the action. The whole idea when you're going from college to the pros, in high school to college is the same way, but this is even more acute, is can you force the action, meaning take the offense in some form or fashion from your position or wherever you line up and alter the play in some way. And all of those guys have that ability. A guy that I think could end up being on that list, top 10 list, by the end of this season, if he stays healthy and gets to play the way I think he's going to play, he's going to be Kenyatta Jackson, defensive end at Ohio State, who's sort of like waited his turn.
Yeah.
But man, he was getting some huge plays last year in that national championship run. And but there's another guy that could be on that list only because he has the ability to bust you up.
Yeah, and we'll get there. There's plenty coming for Ohio State. All right, we're talking expansion. We'll get back to it next. This is 97.1, The Fan.
If you haven't thought about Buckeye football today, I'm sorry to tell you that you're dead. Our condolences. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan.
At Kroger, we've lowered prices on over 1,000 items across our stores so you can save even more. Whether you're shopping in-store or online at Kroger, we've lowered prices on thousands of the items your family wants and needs. And with lower prices, your dollar goes further every time you shop with us. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Check out our great selection of sweet surprises for Mother's Day. You'll find colorful bouquets, decadent chocolates, and more. Happy Mother's Day from Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Get Eco.
Aaron, I love that we fix ACs for free.
I don't think we do that, Jerry.
Get Eco.
Stay with me, Aaron. I'm going to explain to you how it works.
You're going to explain to me how my own invention works?
Get Eco.
Step 1. Some other HVAC company tells a customer that they need a whole new system.
Yes.
And then they call us.
They can always call us, Jerry.
Get Eco.
And then we repair their system for free.
No, then they pay us.
But we give the money back, right?
We give them back all the money they paid us to fix their old system when they finally do need a new one.
Up to $1,500, right?
Right.
Aaron, we're fixing HVAC systems for free.
Get Eco.
ECO.
We extend the life of their system.
That's right.
Those extra years are free. On me.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco. Plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians. GetEco.com.
Working your way through that honey-do list? That means more flushes, more showers, more fiddling with the thermostat. Trust the pros at the Waterworks with your plumbing and drain cleanings and repairs and all your heating and cooling needs. Our certified pros can repair or replace your furnace or air conditioner. Clogs? Call the Waterworks. Drain cleaning? Call the Waterworks. Plumbing issues? Call the Waterworks. Furnace repairs? Call the Waterworks. The Waterworks. Trusted neighborhood plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling experts.
Bobcat Enterprises says thank you for your support as they celebrate 50 years of serving the construction industry. Established in 1975 in Cincinnati, Bobcat Enterprises has expanded to 9 stores to meet you where you are in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. Find equipment for any construction project, including compact track loaders and excavators. Plus, Bobcat Enterprises rents compact equipment and attachments. Find current specials and locations at bobcatent.com or follow Bobcat Enterprises Inc. on Facebook. Bobcat Enterprises, 50 years working for you.
Sometimes we take for granted all the amazing things our loved ones do for us, especially Mom. Early morning trips to practice, picking us up after school in the pouring rain, sitting through your play 4 times, and now helping out with the kids when you need a night out. There just aren't many like Mom. Mother's Day is Sunday, May 11th, and it's a tremendous day to say thanks to Mom with a lovely flowering gift from Oakland Nursery. So take a step back, reflect, and say, thanks, Mom. Happy Mother's Day from Oakland Nursery.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
And I'm Jacob Reimer. The Cavs picked themselves up off the mat in Game 3, getting back in the series against the Pacers in a game in which they never trailed, winning 126-104. Donovan Mitchell put together a dominant performance with 43 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. Game 4 will be on Sunday. Western Conference semis in Denver. Aaron Gordon's 3 with 27 seconds left tied Game 3 against OKC, sending it to overtime where the Nuggets outscored the Thunder 11-2. They now lead the series 2-1. In baseball, the Guardians shut out the Phillies 6-0 for a series opening win, while the Reds were held scoreless in Houston with a 3-0 loss to the Astros. They both go again later tonight. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs last night, Game 3 between Florida and Toronto was decided in overtime with the Panthers pulling out the win 5-4, and the Jets even up the series with the Stars in a Game 2 win of their series. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan.
Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean we shut up. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Changes could be coming again to the college football landscape when it comes to the playoff. We get expansion. We might only have a couple of years of where it's at before even more. And the Big Ten and the SEC seem to be driving the ship on this one. We'll discuss it. Welcome back. On 97.1 The Fan, this is Fan Sports Saturday. He is Tim May, and I am Matt Fontana. So it started late in the week where Thursday, the 4 Power Conference commissioners held an in-person meeting in New York, according to Ross Dellinger of Yahoo. And they discussed several issues, but sources telling Yahoo Sports that one of the things was the future playoff format and the Big Ten and the SEC continuing to favor multiple automatic qualifiers. This is followed up from Pete Thamo, who, of course, works for ESPN, said that they met in New York. The continued focus is on a 16-team college football playoff starting in 2026. An industry source, speaking to Pete, said, I would say that 16 is becoming more preferred, and it seems like the 16, as they continue to push forward, would be the preferred number, but there is no formatting decision on that 16. And Tim, we talked about the 16-team expansion where it worked so much with the 12. I mean, you and I both agree it's a little clunky on the 12. I get that they tried the bye and wanted to incentivize teams to win their conference and get a top 4 seed for the bye. But I think the formatting decision there, it's obviously you're going to have 16, you're going to have games played, nobody gets any buys. But could you see a world that a format could be created to overtake conference championships, where if you get the 4 automatic qualifiers from, let's say, the Big Ten and the SEC, would they put them against one another in the first 2 rounds to play, or maybe even just the first round, and use those as potential revenue boosters to make up for lost conference championships? Or do you think that that's something they should completely avoid? Hey, we've seen enough of Ohio State playing, Oregon. They already played. I want to see Ohio State take an SEC school on or a Big 12 school on. I just think it's interesting how Pete wrote it, that there's no formatting decision on any of this yet.
Yeah, that means they're still juggling. The knives are still up in the air because I don't know how this is going to go over really with like ACC powers that be, et cetera, being told basically to your face, yeah, you have basically as many teams as we do or many programs as we do, but you're inferior, and we'll see when they finally get to voting or whatever it is, consensus, whatever they have to get to this this format. Well, format being the 16-team playoff, and then the further format, how it's going to be set up and how it's going to be divvied up in terms of 4 teams from the SEC, 4 teams from the Big Ten, and AYOs. We're going to do all this with all you other guys. We'll see how that falls from a voting standpoint. Of course, you got to throw Notre Dame in there because Notre Dame's independent. But yeah, I'm just here's the thing. They definitely were going to move to 16 after they moved to 12. You could see the inevitability of that. The 12 team was almost you just got the sense of, and I'm not even sure they have this kind of foresight. I think they do a lot of things by knee slap, or knee jerk, but the foresight it eventually is going to move to 16. And if it moves to 16, like you just pointed out, there really is no more need for conference championships. But my question is, so you're going to have the Big Ten, and you're not going to decide at the end of the year who the best team is, even in the Big Ten, except by record, your final record, and obviously everybody's not going to come anywhere close to playing everybody else. That's going to be a new taste, a new era, to college football. In the SEC the same way and stuff. But in many respects, it was getting to that anyway, even before the title games came into being. But I'm going to miss those days on you're not even going to be basically able to say if let's say Oregon, Ohio State, and let's say the 16-team playoff was in vogue this coming season, and Ohio State and Oregon, who don't play each other in the regular season this year, both have the same conference record. You're just going to call them co-champions like the good old days, Is that satisfying? It probably is, it'll be satisfying as far as the amount of money they're going to be making from the expanded playoff, but it kind of makes you wonder why even have conferences, but that's another story.
Well, and eventually if they go to that NFL model, which is kind of what you're talking about, Tim, where let's say, and I hope we never get there, because kind of my argument on this is, listen, I love college football like everybody else, but I think about college wrestling, which I love very much, and softball and tennis. We had Ty Tucker on earlier. You can't just abolish conferences and not think about all the other schools. But if you come to a point, which I think is the smart thing to eventually understand, is that football is just going to be separate. This is going to be its own entity. It's going to be all this, and it's going to be off to the side. And you just went to all these teams. And you said, which a lot of this, by the way, I should mention, this 2026 number about the expansion coincides with the ESPN TV deal coming up. So when they're going to be able to renegotiate that and, hey, we're getting more games, let's figure this out, from a money standpoint. If they eventually went to a team like Ohio State and they said, hey, you got to play 12 games. We actually don't really care who you play and when. You need to schedule it where, number one, they're always going to play Michigan. They never will not. But you can play anybody that you want. You just got to do enough to put this on tape that you deserve to make it. But then you lose the automatic qualifiers because, in essence, you're abolishing the Big Ten and the SEC. That won't happen. There's TV deals hooked up with all these conferences. That'll never go away. But eventually it's going to get to that point, which is exactly what you're talking about. You're going to, in the NFL, you face teams that you saw in the regular season. You have sometimes division opponents that have to play each other again in the playoff. And it's like, if you can't avoid that, you kind of want to because it's better for the TV product. You know, we were all hyped to be able to watch Ohio State, Texas, not just because it was for the right to go to the national championship, because they hadn't played each other. You know, it was new, it was brand new, and there's always that element that is a lot of fun for the viewing, the casual viewers. And there's two things. There's the TV people, but also, and I'm going to use the word sanctity. I think everybody can laugh when I kind of say that about the NCAA and college football, but the sanctity of, did you find the true champion? Did you find the team that deserved to win the national championship? Some years you feel like it's going to be yes. Some years you're going to say no. But you had that same debate in the BCS era, which I loved and grew up in. You had that when it was 4-team. You're going to have that when it's 12. You're going to have it when it's 16. The ultimate question of, was this truly the best team that won the national championship? You can't use that as your barometer to say this is how we're going to change everything. But I also think that deserves a seat at the table when they come up with their formatting for the 16 team.
You know, but do we want NFL light? I mean, I'm not sure the average fan, yes, there are people who want NFL light, and that's what you're going to end up with in college football. You've already got it, for the most part, except you can still win a conference championship. You can still, have something to feel good about that. But, like the Ohio State men's lacrosse team, they're playing tomorrow at noon against Notre Dame, and Big Tasty, their goalie, Caleb Fayok, just, he basically laid it out there that they looked at they just won the Big Ten regular season and the Big Ten tournament for the first time ever. Ohio State did in lacrosse. But like he said it's a stepping stone to where they really want to go, which is a national championship. And so the good thing about this expanding playoff world we're living in football is that more teams are going to have a shot at winning the national championship than in the BCS days. I was perfectly fine with the BCS when you finally guaranteed that I was going to get to watch the top two teams about how they're picked. And, they got together on how the things were going to get picked. And you can gripe about it later, but this is what you agreed on. You were guaranteed to watch them. See, the problem has always been and still is going to be when they go to limited rosters, for example, with football, when the House settlement finally kicks in, it's not like the NFL where you have a waiver wire. You're going to have teams routinely playing at least one extra game a year, and like Ohio State played 4 extra games last year to win the championship. College football rosters, for the most part, aren't built to sustain that. So you might not end up winning. You might not have the best team in November actually winning the championship in January. That's what bothers you a little bit about this, but it will be must-see TV.
And also the legacy of it with the NIL, with the transfer, how quickly there could be teams that find themselves being a 3 seed, and 2 years later they're not even in the conversation.
Well, look at Florida State.
Right, Florida State. I mean, even
last year,
and I think Alabama will be back. And it's like, listen, Nick Saban's arguably the greatest to ever do it. He steps down, I get it. But, yeah, they're not the same Alabama that they've been. We even see the turnover quickly in, the Big Ten. Like, Tim, we're not that far removed from when Wisconsin was this powerhouse that everybody had to go through, and they're still solid. But
everything ebbs and flows. That's why Ohio State fans, man, they really need to step back and go, you know what? Like I keep saying, this is the golden era of Ohio State football. You'll be looking back 50 years from now saying that. I won't be around to be there with you. But
you'll be.
But the bottom line is the level of excellence at which Ohio State football has sustained basically from like 1993 on till now with just a couple of blips is unbelievable compared to any other program.
Especially, I agree with you, and especially with all the changes in college football. It's a different game. It's different this, different that, and Ohio State just
Ryan Day and his group are so ahead of the curve on most of the programs in the country right now. Yeah. I'm talking about all the other stuff it takes to build a football team. Yeah. Forget about NIL. And as we well know, what Texas's NIL payroll is going to be this year. There were quite a few teams, I'm sure, last year that had a higher NIL payroll than Ohio State did. They just didn't make it privy to people.
And it's also just the efficiency that you have with it and the type of players that you're able to get through all of it that matters so much. Turn it over to the pro side of things, but we're going to bring this back to Ohio State because they were doing some of the best rookie fits in the NFL and some of the favorite draft picks going to certain teams. I want to run through that list with Tim, but I want to run through the Ohio State draft class and what he thinks of all the guys, of the 14 record-setting 14 guys that got drafted from Ohio State. Which one does Tim think ended up in the best spot? We'll discuss all of that coming up. You got us right here. 97.1 The Fan. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Head to 971thefan.com to listen on demand and subscribe to all our podcasts. Wasting time has never been easier. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio is your Medicaid plan for more benefits, more rewards. We know that good health means more than just seeing a doctor when you're sick. Eligible members can receive extras like home-delivered meals and family essentials, like baby carriers and kids' school supplies. Members can even earn rewards for playing mobile health trivia games. Learn more at AmeriHealthCaritasoh.com and call the Ohio Medicaid Consumer Hotline at 1-800-324-8680 to choose AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Spring into savings at Ohio Mulch. Get your mulch as easy as ever. Save $50 on home delivery now through Sunday. All you got to do is visit ohiomulch.com today.
Ohio Mulch, landscape supply.
Spring showers revealing roofing or siding issues? Trust the pros at Newman Roofing for expert care, white glove service, and quality you can count on. Schedule your estimate today and take advantage of special financing options. Call 614-NEW-ROOF or visit newmanroofing.com today.
That's the sound of a Mountain Dew. And that's you enjoying its refreshing citrus kick. That's a cool breeze suddenly whistling through your hair.
Whoa!
That's you realizing you're now on a mountain.
This is epic!
That's you stating the obvious. That's you stepping up to the plate. That's you winning your kickball game.
Yes, let's go!
That's you taking another sip of your Do the Do.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Finish your outdoor wood projects with Cabot Premium Wood Care products. Australian timber oil is an exterior stain that provides maximum penetration, durability, and water repellency, making it ideal for decks, siding, outdoor furniture, and more. Save big money at Menards on Cabot Premium Wood Care products. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Did you ask about Pick 3 from the Ohio Lottery? Okay, Pick 3 is a daily draw game where you pick 3 individual numbers between 0 and 9 that can be played straight, where numbers must be drawn in an exact order or boxed where they can be drawn in any order. You can win hundreds, and wagers start at only 50 cents. Want to learn more? Okay, go to OhioLottery.com or the Ohio Lottery app. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
The Bobcat National Sales Event is happening now at Bobcat Enterprises. Get up to $10,000 in rebates or choose financing as low as 0% for 60 months on the industry's most comfortable compact loaders. See Bobcat Enterprises in Hilliard, Reynoldsburg, or Zanesville today for incredible savings during the National Sales Event, and find the current specials and full line of products at bobcatent.com. Some restrictions apply. Length of contract and rate may vary. Offer ends June 30th, 2025. Bobcat Enterprises, celebrating 50 years of serving you.
Much like a vampire, we need to be invited into your house. But once we're in, we never leave. Listen to The Fan on your Alexa or Google Home smart speaker. Just say play 97.1 The Fan and prepare to be amazed. Do it now.
Now at White Castle, you can get 12 chicken rings for just $3.99. Tender on the inside, crispy on the outside. Choose from classic or our new Cheddar Blast flavor made with real cheddar cheese. White Castle. Follow your crave. Limited time only at participating castles. Tax not included.
We can come the day you call us.
We're 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
Brian, I've been meaning to ask you something.
Okay, ask away.
Sometimes when we're talking, I hear a little sparkling sound.
Is it when one of us says, all you have to do is point?
There it is. Did you hear that?
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic? Like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
Get Mega May discounts at Coghlan Kia. Lease a new Kia K4, only $89 a month for 24 months. Or get 1.9% financing for 48 months. Or $2,000 bonus cash on a new 25 Kia Sportage or Sorrento. Visit CoglanKia.com.
Coghlan has the car for you.
$49.99 due at signing, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents per mile over. Tax, title, and license fees excluded. No security deposit. $400 disposition fee at lease end. 1.9 for 48 equals $21.65 per 1,000 financed. With approved credit through KMF. Residency restrictions may apply. Offers cannot be combined. See dealer for details. N6225.
If my buttery smooth voice represents the photos in your social media feed,
and this is closer to what real life is like. Social media can be fun, but remember, it's only showing you
the filtered version of life. So when social media is stressing you out, check in on yourself and remember, it's not the whole story. For more tips on reducing your stress, go to mha.ohio.gov/check-in. A message from the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We're looking ahead to a beautiful weekend with mostly sunny skies. High temperatures into the mid-70s here for this afternoon. And then for tonight, mostly clear and cool with temperatures into the upper 40s. And on your Mother's Day, still tracking more sunshine. High temperatures into the mid-70s. And we'll keep those 70s in the forecast here for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
Matty Ice has a large tattoo on his calf of LeBron eating a lion. I have nothing else to say. Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. Instead of annoying national people talking to you this weekend, we've opted for annoying local people. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
NFL rookie mini camps underway. Tim, I'm up in Cleveland. Shedeur Sanders spoke today. Dylan Gabriel spoke today, and there was quite a few cameras out there getting ready to go. But nonetheless, all the teams getting their rookies in. You try to find that fit. You try to find the guy that's going to help you in a lot of different ways. So I want to run through some of the Ohio State guys, the NFL side of things as well for best fit for the rookies. Welcome back, 97.1 The Fan Sports Saturday. He is Tim May, and I am Matt Fontana. So, Tim, we talked about this earlier. I'm based in Cleveland. Everybody up here is just talking Shedeur Sanders. They're talking Dylan Gabriel. The Browns took 2 quarterbacks. They both spoke today. They were fine. It's not like they're out to, I'm going to beat this guy in this competition or anything like that. But, Tim, I was going to tell you, all week everybody's been talking about Shedeur's jersey number because he didn't get to wear number 2 like he had at Colorado because a veteran player had it. And he was asked about his jersey number today. I'm like, man, we're back in this Johnny Manziel thing again where I'm like, the poor kid, I'm going to give Shedeur a benefit of the doubt here. I go, the young man's just trying to start his NFL career. I get he's got the hype and the entourage behind him, but everybody's just worried about his jersey and he's going to win this job or not. And I'm like, he's been through 2 practices as an NFL player. Like, can we give the kid some space a little bit?
I'm not sure everybody's worried about his jersey number, but whoever asked the question was or is, and anything you can make an issue out of, I guess at this point in the year, you do that, and it was like Lawrence Taylor, was being asked, to be able to, be able to use his number. What was it, Abdul Carter? 56, and now you take your own number and do what you can with it, make it a thing, And Lawrence Taylor, I think, wore number 89 or 98 at North Carolina. He wasn't always 56, but now it's a coveted jersey number. So. Right on down the line, it's too bad. I am very curious about how the Browns are going, what their plan is for Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel, and because you took one ahead of the other, it seemed like you had no intention of really taking the latter, which is Shedeur Sanders. Yet you did the league maybe a favor, and maybe you did yourself a favor. We'll see, but I'm just curious just to watch that competition. Forget about the number and everything else associated with it.
And it's a lot of people talked about it with the Browns, you don't have a quarterback. Okay, you take 2 and maybe one of them can work out, but it's also, can you really develop 2 guys at once? And Kevin Stefanski, this has been a big thing all week because they have 4 quarterbacks. They drafted the 2. They still have Kenny Pickett, and they got Joe Flacco to come back. And Kevin Stefanski all week has just been, no, we got plenty of reps. No, we got plenty for these guys to get it all figured out of whoever the starter is going to be. And we see plenty of teams that have 4 quarterbacks to go through camp, but one of those is usually just what? A camp arm, a guy just to throw there.
The guy you signed, yeah.
Exactly, right. There's a legit case for any 4 of these guys to start. And I would believe that the veteran guys probably have a leg up. It might be Flacco, I think, leading everybody in this whole thing. But for, them to take 2 and then with the hype surrounding Shedeur, when Dylan Gabriel was drafted ahead, and frankly, Tim, I got to tell you, I don't know how you feel about it. I think Dylan Gabriel brings a little more to the table a little bit, maybe.
Well, no, if Dylan Gabriel was 6'2", you wouldn't have any problems with Dylan Gabriel. I'm telling you. The guy can play football, and just, as I like to say, turn on the tape or your digital, whatever memory thing you're using, turn it on and watch him play, make plays. With the exception of the Rose Bowl, when Ohio State flat got after him. Mm-hmm. Go back and watch Ohio State, Oregon, on October 12th, and watch him make plays with his arm and his feet and his cunning. Cunning is a big deal, man, when you get to the NFL. But Shedeur Sanders, maybe one of the few quarterbacks in college football last year that you didn't want to see have the ball in his hands with a minute 50 left, because he was pretty clutch through his college career, at Jackson State and in Colorado. But how does that translate? The interesting thing about this, Matt, is both of these guys have questions about them. They're not dyed in the wool for sure things going to make it in the National Football League, and you wonder who's going to answer that question first. Dylan Gabriel, are you tall enough to throw passes in the big boy league? And Shedeur, whatever their question is about Shedeur, my question about him was, I talked to Bo about this on his show too, is Bo Bishop, is that I questioned his arm strength at times and just the ability to just really put the ball out there, for want of another term. Forget all the other shenanigans associated with Colorado football and him and his dad and everything else like that. Past that, does this guy throw a big-time football, 9 times out of 10? And that's what they're going to figure out. You can figure that out to a certain extent in OTAs and then in preseason camp, and then either move on or move on up, So it'll be a curious camp to watch. So both those guys, because there's no way they're both going to get enough reps, despite what Stefanski says, and they're definitely not going to get those quality reps, which is 11 on 11 full bore. Here are these big guys coming after you, make plays. They're not going to get enough of those in three preseason games, I don't think, but we'll see.
Tim, I cannot agree with you anymore, because everybody's sitting there saying, all right, well, they had this group and they all got 4 reps. And I go, well, one of them's up against guys that are practice squatters. Or they're, even if you divide the reps up numerically equal, we know they're not equal. We know they're not all built the same.
And also who's protecting these guys?
That's true. Yeah, right.
It goes all the way down through like Joe Burrow just took a beating in one of the spring games. I think it's his first spring game at Ohio State. The only quarterback who had on an active you can hit this guy jersey, and but he was accurate throwing the ball to some points, questionable receivers. He put the ball on the money. That's how you knew this guy, if he ever got his shot, was going to be pretty good for somebody. And so now you don't really have the luxury of doing that in the NFL camps anymore, obviously, because of the agreement. What's it called? The collective bargaining agreement.
Quarterbacks. And you brought up another great point about the time. The clock is ticking here. The Browns, because they have now 2 first-round picks next year, the one they got when they traded back and took Mason Graham.
Yeah.
If one of these guys isn't it, then they need to be in the running for, I know everybody's saying Arch, but Garrett Nussmeier, Lenora Sellers, any of these other quarterbacks that should be there, Drew Aller, like they all are going to be up there next year, and you're going to have to make that decision pretty quick. Are you going to have enough time when you put, I say constraint, but it kind of is, you put this constraint on yourself by taking 2 and trying to get them both to understand if they're it, or maybe the whole plan is, hey, we took these guys as long-term projects Joe Flacco is going to start for us, and these guys will develop, and no matter what, we're still taking a quarterback next year, and maybe that's all in the plans for the Browns, but it just seems like they maybe have brought in too much. We all needed one, but it's too much.
Yeah, in the NFL, though, your backup quarterback's going to have to play at some point, kind of like college football to a certain extent. That's why, knock on wood for Ohio State, they were quite fortunate last year with Will Howard answering almost every bell, but he answered every game as a starter, and that's rare, even in the NFL, for that guy to be, or at least to be the same, anywhere close to the semblance of himself from the beginning of the year to the end. So somebody's got to come along, and in the NFL, you can't really waste too much time on developing guys. I mean, it's if in fact your goal is to get to the Super Bowl. That should be every team's goal at the beginning. It's hard to even build teams anymore, and sustain them. You got to go for today. And so, if they ended up taking 3 quarterbacks in the draft over 2 years, I'm not sure they got their money's worth from the draft. So, yes, this is a big year because, Flacco's not the long-term answer, right? I mean, he's not Tom Brady, but who knows? Maybe he will be.
I mean, even just for a couple of years, sure, maybe, but then you're turning things over and still trying to find that guy.
But you got to play for today, man. You got to play for today.
You do, and you got a team, too. You got Myles Garrett to re-sign that deal and stick around in Cleveland. You told him something about the quarterback situation, and I think at this point, just you're going to have to play him, but you and I are on the same page there. There's enough reps and they'll all be equal. I can't buy that at all with these two guys up here in Cleveland trying to get it done. All right, I promise that we'll get to it when we return here coming up. I want to run through some of the best fits across the NFL draft with some different teams, but I also want to get Tim's thoughts on the Ohio State draft class. There were a lot of them that went to a lot of different teams. Which one ended up in the best spot? We'll do all that coming up in just 2 minutes. Fan Sports Saturday on 97.1 The Fan.
Working your way through that honey-do list? That means more flushes, more showers, more fiddling with the thermostat. Trust the pros at the Waterworks with your plumbing and drain cleanings and repairs and all your heating and cooling needs. Our certified pros can repair or replace your furnace or air conditioner. Clogs? Call the Waterworks. Drain cleaning? Call the Waterworks. Plumbing issues? Call the Waterworks. Furnace repairs? Call the Waterworks. The Waterworks. Trusted neighborhood plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling experts.
Do you suffer from leg pain, leg swelling, varicose veins, or leg ulcers? Dr. Barry Zeta and Dr. Joseph Senta at Ohio Vein and Vascular Polaris are pioneers in the vein and vascular field. Dr. Zeta and Dr. Senta can perform minimally invasive procedures that will get you back on track to a pain-free life. Stop living with leg pain and start the process to healthy living with a free healthy leg screening. Go to loveyourveins.com or call 614-324-VEIN. That's 614-324-VEIN or loveyourveins.com. You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With Truehold, you can sell your home for its current value, so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since Truehold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit Truehold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
If you've recently seen a photo of an older Baker Mayfield fresh off a bender, it's just Bo Bishop. Bishop and Friends.
Weekdays from 9 to noon.
The Fan. Sports talk, weekend style. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Rookies across the league getting their first taste of the NFL, and some landed in good spots, other ones you kind of question. I want to run through some of the ones that landed across the league, but also where the Buckeyes went in the 2025 draft. We'll get to that coming up with Tim May. I'm Matt Fontana right here on Fan Sports Saturday on 97.1 The Fan. So I want to start across the league, Tim, and I'm just going to kind of cherry pick a few of these teams here. This list came from Matt Bowen of ESPN. And it's just his favorite fits. And I think he was kind of going off of just he factored in the traits, the schemes, the play calling, and then what the player is. So it's not just, hey, this guy looks good in this uniform. It's this is a need for this team. They're really going to fit. He starts with the Browns, and he says Mason Graham at defensive tackle is going to be needed there. He mentions Tet McMillan, the big wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young needs that help, certainly. But one of the other ones he mentioned here that I love, Colston Loveland, tight end, Chicago Bears. They still have Cole Kmet, and they could certainly run a 2 tight end set there. But that was one of my favorite ones, Tim, there was, you got a quarterback, Caleb Williams, you're trying to figure out exactly who this guy is. You give him a big tight end like that, Colston Loveland, that was one of my favorite picks of the draft there, was him going to the Chicago Bears.
Dude, look at any long-term, but definitely Super Bowl contending team. You're going right down my alley there about tight ends. You got to have the tight end. You got to have the tight end that can make some plays. I don't mean he's got to take it 80 every play, but almost every big time quarterback, Tom Brady, great example. Always had a big time tight end that he could go to, and the great quarterbacks utilize that because they know every tight end situation is almost always a mismatch if you can just get to him in one form or fashion. So I can understand where you're going there with Colston Loveland. I think Ohio State fans are probably glad to see him gone also.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson, another one to Pittsburgh, the running back out of Iowa. And certainly for Pittsburgh, Najee Harris is still there, but to have, Pittsburgh and running backs just seem to fit so very well. Speaking of Pittsburgh, though, they got a couple of Buckeyes. So here's what I'm going to do, Tim, and there's a couple I want to focus on specifically, but I'm going to throw out this giant list of Ohio State drafted players in 2025, and we're going to talk through some of our favorite landing spots for them. So again, it's a long list, but I'm just going to go in the order they were drafted. You start. Emeka Egbuka goes 19 to the Buccaneers. Donovan Jackson, the lineman, goes to the Vikings at 24. Tyleik Williams, D-tackle to the Lions. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle to the Chiefs. Quinshon Judkins to the Browns. Travion Henderson to the Patriots. JTT goes to the Colts. Cody Simon goes to the Cardinals. Lathan Ransom to the Panthers. Jack Sawyer to the Steelers. Ty Hamilton, defensive tackle, goes to the Rams. Jordan Hancock goes to the Bills. Denzel Burke goes to the Cardinals. And then the final Steelers pick goes to Will Howard at 185. Tim, of that list there, was there somebody that jumped out to you, or even now as we've had time to kind of see the guys get in and just think more about it, of all those Buckeyes there, which one do you think landed in the best spot?
Well, first there's a qualifier. Emeka Egbuka clearly landed in a great spot because they need him, And number two, he's a quality individual on top of everything else, and he will get his shots, and he's smart like you wouldn't believe. He will learn the game quickly, and so there's a guy that's going to play day one, barring injury, and even maybe more so. The urgency for him is from the team standpoint is more so than maybe Harrison at the Cardinals last year. But and then past that, I really like where Donovan Jackson ended up because he's going to play. He's probably going to play from day one. He's going to be a quality 10 to 12 year pro minimum, barring injury. So I like his matchup. And then, we can name every one of these guys and say how ideal it is in one form or fashion. If the Steelers, I don't think yet they've signed Aaron Rodgers, right?
Not yet. No,
right.
I do want to get to that. We'll talk about that.
Okay, but I really like the fact that Will Howard can be there and learn a little bit. But I think Will Howard can play in the National Football League, and I think everybody's going to see that in a couple of years.
I agree with you, and it's time to learn there and kind of develop that. And I think the Steelers had to have that in mind, too, with whatever that Aaron Rodgers story is going to be. And Mike Tomlin actually spoke on it today, so we'll wrap our show coming up here. Yeah. He did. It's funny, Tim. He spoke by saying, listen to Omar Khan. He goes to listen to his comments.
I like Mike Tomlin, though, man. I'm telling you.
I do like Mike Tomlin.
Hey, real quick, I'm going to throw another one in there.
Sure.
The reason I like this is because it was a surprise to somebody. But if you watch this guy's video, and you only have to, you don't have to play every down in the NFL, just like this guy didn't have to play every down in college football. But Tyleik Williams ended up in a great spot, with Detroit, because clearly a lot of people think they reached up to get him or reached down, wherever it is. When you're a higher drafted higher than some people projected. I really think he has got that ability. That is a quality pick, I think, by Detroit Lions. And I think Tyleik Williams is going to be leaned on early, but, give a team like 15 or 20 big-time plays every game from the defensive tackle spot. That's what they're looking for, and I think he can deliver that.
I love him with the Lions, too, because obviously Hutchinson's there, but they have so many players on that defense, too, where this is no disrespect to Tyleik. He can just show up and just start as just a guy on that defense, like find your way and start to make some plays.
He's elite, though. Watch his feet. Yeah. He is elite.
Yeah, I love that pick there. I'll give you the one right after him, too, Josh Simmons. And I know he fell, obviously, because of the knee injury that cost him most of the year. There were some questions on maybe some character, some things off the field, but that's kind of where him going to the Chiefs, where he went, that's perfect. And it sounds like he's right over this knee injury, and you're going to – I really think a potential there, too. He could be the next 5 to 7 year blindside protector for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, what a job that could be for him.
Yeah, they got to be careful with him, though, because he's – I think his knee injury was actually patellar tendon, which takes – is not the same as an ACL, repair and stuff. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to come back from that from a full strength standpoint. I think they're looking at him as a little bit of a project, obviously, in that regard, at least the first half of this coming season. We'll see if he actually gets him. He may start from day one. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I just play one. But yeah, I do like that. I mean, he's a guy we hardly ever got to talk to at Ohio State, but was having a game against Oregon until suddenly he's out of the game, and Ohio State still almost won that game despite losing him and shuffling the offensive line around and stuff. So yes, I mean he's an interesting dude. San Diego State to Ohio State to now the Kansas City Chiefs protecting one of the great quarterbacks in NFL history.
Yeah, another one I'm going to throw in, too, just because I'm a fan of him and I think he's going to be really good in the NFL, is Travion Henderson going to the Patriots. Like, they have Ramondre Stevenson, and they've been able to be able to run there. But if you've got that offense going now, where obviously you have Drake May, they get Will Campbell to try to protect him a little bit, I think Travion could be, again, talk about day one starter where there's this list is littered with them, for the Buckeyes in the pros now. But I just think Travion's game translates extremely well to the NFL.
He's going to get his shots, that's for sure. Last year he was a different running back because he was finally healthy again, much like he was as a freshman before he got banged up the first time. But number two, he can be an instant touchdown for you. And Mike Vrabel understands what that means. He was a big-time defensive player in the National Football League, a guy that can just beat you to the edge and then beat you to the house. They're still rare. And he runs with verve. And like I said, I'm not sure any back coming out of college football into the NFL this year came out with a plum at pass protection that Travion Henderson has. He takes it to another level, including on the watch the game-clinching play against Notre Dame. He stepped right up into the hole there. Notre Dame came with an all-out blitz. He stepped right up in the hole, picked his guy up, and, Will Howard to a guy named Jeremiah Smith. I don't know if you remember him or not.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Boom, game over.
Talk about guys that'll make an instant impact. We just got it. Well, thankfully for us Ohio State fans, we have 2 more years of Jeremiah in Columbus. But talk about a day one impact. He could probably do that tomorrow at the age of 19. But we'll get there in just a couple of years. All right, we talked about it briefly. We'll dive into a little bit more. Mike Tomlin has kind of spoken on the Aaron Rodgers situation as the Steelers have their rookie minicamp going on. We're all waiting to see what Rodgers is going to do. As we talked about, they take Will Howard in the draft, but it seems to be Rodgers and the Steelers' weapon. Could Derek Carr's situation of retirement today throw a wrench into all that? We'll discuss it coming up. He's Tim May. I'm Matt Fontana. This is Fan Sports Saturday at 97.1 The Fan.
We're the girthiest radio station in the history of radio. Uncomfortably girthy. This promo is uncomfortable. The Fan, Ohio's girth destination.
As men get older, our bodies change. We all know that, and often we just accept the changes as the way it is. But some of those changes, such as bad sleep patterns, low sex drive, brain fog, no energy, and reduced gains in the gym, could be due to low testosterone. And that is something you can change. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health. And even if you're in your 30s or if you're experiencing some some or all of the symptoms I just noted, you very well may need low testosterone treatment. With our treatment protocols, if you're like most men, you'll be amazed at the change. You'll have more energy, improved mental clarity, and your sleep will be better, so will your workouts, and you'll likely find your sex drive increases too. So give us a call today and make a change for the good. And for a limited time, new patients will get their initial appointment free, which includes blood work and a medical consult, because we believe low T treatments could have an incredible impact on your life. Call 800-900-9654 or go to TriStateMen'sHealth.com. We have 6 offices in the tri-state area to serve you. Tri-State Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Boating season is finally here, and Buckeye Lake Marina is your go-to destination for all your on-the-water needs. With the largest inventory in Central Ohio, you can choose from top brands like Bennington, South Bay, Crown Line, and more. Buckeye Lake Marina has it all. Pontoon boats, luxury tri-toon boats, even merch. Open 7 days a week to serve you better. Find your next dream boat at Buckeye Lake Marina. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com today for all your on-the-water needs. The good life, the lake life, starts at Buckeye Lake Marina.
That's the sound of a Mountain Dew. And that's you enjoying its refreshing citrus kick. That's a cool breeze suddenly whistling through your hair.
Whoa!
That's you realizing you're now on a mountain.
This is epic!
That's you stating the obvious. That's you stepping up to the plate. That's you winning your kickball game.
Yes! Let's go!
That's you taking another sip of your
Mountain Dew!
Do the Do.
This summer, something wild is coming to your Columbus Zoo. The all-new North America Trek opens soon. Get closer than ever to Mexican wolves, river otters, and more in stunning new habitats. Experience wildlife and conservation in action. Plan your visit today at columbuszoo.org.
Now at White Castle, you can get 12 chicken rings for just $3.99. Tender on the inside, crispy on the outside. Choose from classic or our new Cheddar Blast flavor made with real cheddar cheese. White Castle. Follow your crave. Limited time only at participating castles. Tax not included.
There's a new way to surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle and Market District. Shop Giant Eagle's uncompromising quality at a reliable price with everyday savings. Look for signs throughout the store to find bargains on produce, meat, and more. At Giant Eagle, we combine exceptional customer service and quality foods, all at great value to make the most of your shopping trip. Visit Giant Eagle or Market District today to see how easy it is to save.
Remember how that little girl in Poltergeist was in the TV?
They're here.
Yeah? Well, she's actually dead now. It's quite sad. Anyway, watch your favorite fan shows on your TV by subscribing to us on YouTube. Search 971 The Fan. Do it now.
AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio is your Medicaid plan for more benefits, more rewards. We know that good health means more than just seeing a doctor when you're sick. Eligible members can receive extras like home-delivered meals and family essentials, like baby carriers and kids' school supplies. Members can even earn rewards for playing mobile health trivia games. Learn more at AmeriHealthCaritasoh.com and call the Ohio Medicaid Consumer Hotline at 1-800-324-8680 to choose AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio.
Hey guys, it's Timmy Hall from my friends at Orthopedic One, Central Ohio's most trusted orthopedic practice. 2 years ago, I was actually experiencing hip pain for the first time in my life, and I knew I needed the best. So I chose Orthopedic One for my physical therapy needs. And in a matter of weeks, I was rotating that golf swing better than before, and I was the longest hitter in my group again. So be like me and trust Orthopedic One. Several convenient locations around Central Ohio. To find a physician or location near you, go to www.orthopedicone.com.
The standing room only, with all eyes on the 18th green.
That's a good-looking ball.
The sudden roars. That Sunday celebration.
Jack always made the putt at 18, and today Scotty Scheffler did.
Witness the Memorial Tournament presented by Workday, May 26th through June 1st. It's second to none. Visit memorialtickets.com today.
Wow, what a shot.
Common Man here for Universal Windows Direct. It is a big sale at Universal Windows Direct. You're getting an incredible 50% off your windows. That's half off, and it gets even better. For a limited time, you get no interest and no payments for 12 months. That's a whole year. I got to tell you when something's half and when something's a year. You also get a free entry door with your window purchase. Schedule your free in-home estimate today. Give them a call, 614-502-5220, or visit universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Accurate Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
During weekend programming, pants are optional.
Look at my butt!
However, leather chairs may have been a bad choice. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Some eyes in the NFL still waiting to see what is Aaron Rodgers doing and why is he not on the Pittsburgh Steelers yet. We'll discuss a little bit of that right here on 97.1 The Fan Sports Saturday. I am Matt Fontana, and he is Tim May. So first off, Mike Tomlin is at rookie minicamp, and Tim, he was asked about the George Pickens trade. I said it was Rodgers. I actually meant the George Pickens trade. And he said, well, Omar Khan put a statement out. Just go read what he has to say. But he was also not asked so much about Aaron Rodgers, but just so much this offseason of the Steelers, drafting Will Howard, which I'm not going to say they didn't have a plan going into the draft because they got a quarterback.
Yeah.
But the waiting for Rodgers, the Pickens trade, totally understand. I loved the move for DK Metcalf. I thought that was really smart on their part. They move on from Pickens, but now they're still just kind of waiting on Aaron Rodgers. And I said, listen, I understand everybody needs quarterbacks, and you wait for ones. I never would have imagined a world that the Steelers, of all organizations, the Steelers are bowing down and waiting and acquiescing to a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers to come play quarterback.
It's kind of like watching one of those poker World Series of Poker matches on television, and one guy's got that hand, and he's got that hand, but he's still waiting for the river card, And the one on the river, I think Three Rivers there used to be, but now it's Heinz Field or wherever the stadium's called now. But you just have a sense they feel confident about what their hold card. We'll see if it comes true. I think when you size these up, Aaron Rodgers is still a viable player, but he's got to be looking. He's an older dude. Obviously, we know that. And he's got to be. If you're all of a sudden sizing up New Orleans' opportunity or Pittsburgh, I think you still got to lean Pittsburgh, right? I mean, just from a standpoint, it seems like quite a few of the pieces are in place there. They just need that stability at quarterback, and so it kind of makes sense for everybody. You saw where Cam Hayward a couple of weeks ago kind of called him out on, you can't say the euphemism, but you know what I'm going to say here. Either sign or get off the pot, and so we'll see if it comes. I would think it comes to fruition much sooner rather than later. What's your gut on that?
I like how you used the S. There was also the S word that you were able to see. No, that was really well done on your part.
I did not use it, though. This isn't Sirius XM.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
No, and it's like the debate, I guess not the debate, but like you're in rookie minicamp, then you're going to hit your veteran minicamp. You got the volunteer and the involuntary. And everybody's going to say, well, do you need Aaron Rodgers there? And I go, yeah. This is a new offense for him.
Who's your quarterback? I mean, that's the worst. That's the worst question a coach can hear is who's your quarterback.
And a team like you and I were talking about this. I have a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin too. I think he's a really good coach. And I know Pittsburgh, they winning the playoff game, and please, as a Browns fan, run him out of town.
Yeah.
Please, Pittsburgh, run Mike Tomlin out of town. I'd love that.
Yeah.
But he runs a tight ship, well respected. But even the players, you talked about Cam Hayward. You've talked about the culture they've built there. You're already bringing in a guy that I don't know necessarily fits the culture with Aaron Rodgers. Take him or leave him for whatever he is. But if you're going to add on top of that, he's already the kind of guy that maybe doesn't fit, but then he's not going to show up. And he'll be there when he wants to be there. And the Jets are a bit of a joke anyway. And that's where I thought that was just a match made in heaven because he could just run the ship there and got Robert Saleh fired and got all this other stuff.
Can't wait till Garrett Wilson can get out of there, but go ahead now.
Yeah, that'd be nice for him too. Yeah, and a couple of Buckeyes now with Ruckert over there as well, and Fields. But now he comes to Pittsburgh talking about Rodgers, and he's not going to be calling the shots. He's not going to be sitting there saying, well, this is how this is going to go and this is how that's going to go. Especially at this point where he's later in his career, where I think the Steelers really only do view this as a one-year thing. Whether it is Will Howard as their future or they go draft another guy next year, they're going to sit there and tell him, listen, we only need you for a season. This is, you're talking about the cards, and you're right. The card Pittsburgh holds is, all right, fine, man, you want to play, where else are you going to go?
Yeah.
All right, New Orleans opened up today because Derek Carr retired. I get that Kirk Cousins is still kind of out there, but not with what the Falcons are doing or trying to hold on to his deal and waiting for a trade. I'm assuming Pittsburgh says, we get down to the end of this, and we really got to do something. We'll go trade for Kirk Cousins if we really have to.
Yeah, the problem with Kirk Cousins has a record now. Now, I like Kirk Cousins the person.
Sure.
But he has a record now of getting you to the playoffs, but not anywhere, not where you really want to go. I mean, the levels just go up dramatically once you get to the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers has proven at least once, that he can get you there and then take you to the promised land. Number two, I'll use a rock band analogy. There are very, very few just great front men, out, in history. I'm talking about guys that can take the microphone and control the stage. I think Aaron Rodgers is that guy. I'm not sure he ever felt comfortable about obviously he got hurt, so that hurt him, for 1 year, the Achilles, but never felt really comfortable about the stage in New York. I think he knows he's smart enough to know what he's walking into at Pittsburgh, which is a pretty controlled situation. But when you got a great front man, you've got to let him strut the stage, man. You got to let him do what he does best. And it makes sense to me to take a shot with Aaron Rodgers if you're the Steelers, because the last few shots haven't worked.
And they have a team that's built in a lot of different ways to, I don't want to say just be a quarterback away, but they've been able to retool some of the other things. They're, Derek Harmon is their first-round pick on that D-line. They still have T.J. Watt.
Right.
Like, they have a team that somehow continues to miraculously be in the playoff picture, even make the playoffs. Again, Tomlin hasn't won the playoff game that everybody's upset about in quite a while, but they're still there making it with change and with turnover and with different types of quarterbacks.
Yeah, they've tried to strengthen their offensive line the last couple of drafts too.
Right,
so it's
exactly.
like, yeah, they're doing things the right way, but you still have to have that one piece, man. And Justin Fields never had a chance, in my opinion, last year. I mean, it was hard to watch sometimes when he was in there because it wasn't even clear what they were trying to do offensively. Obviously, Najee Harris, is at the end of his string. Caleb Johnson, everybody's raving about him. I'll be interesting to see how he steps in and plays because I wasn't impressed with him against Ohio State for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, sure.
Yeah. I mean, he got a trash touchdown at the end of the game, to keep whatever run that was going for him. But yeah, I mean, but I think most of the pieces are in place. But it finally comes down to a quarterback standing in the pocket, delivering a strike on 3rd and 8 that keeps your Super Bowl drive alive. And Aaron Rodgers has proven he can do that for the most part. And, and my favorite thing he ever did was when he drew up that play on the sidelines against Dallas in was that a playoff game or near the end of the game deal where he was going to roll left and hit the guy and he told him where to go. And it was like backyard football. And he made it happen. You need, in the final analysis, you need that kind of guy, man. And, he's still got that in him, I do believe, for one more shot.
I do think he's got a little of it, and that's where you don't need all of it, like of what he once had. But I think he's definitely got a little bit. All right, Tim, got to wrap up asking what do you got on today? So we got NBA starting at 3:30. Truist, the golf is going on. We got the Reds in action tonight. The Guardians are tonight as well.
You got
the
IndyCar?
Crew,
Yeah.
IndyCar, the Crew with a huge match tonight against Philly. What you got the rest of the day, man?
Yeah, like IndyCar's got a race over the. I'm not covering them for the first time in like 40-something years. It's kind of like I'm having withdrawal pains now, but they got a race on the road course at Indianapolis, and Graham Rahal is going to start second in it because he's got a streak there he'd like to end, which is a long time since he's won a race. But right on down the line, and of course, you get Ohio State men's lacrosse tomorrow playing for in the first round of the NCAA tournament against Notre Dame at home, and should be fun to watch.
Tim, first show of many, and I didn't know this until right now. My dad went to 8 consecutive Indianapolis 500s back in the day. So
I went to 41, so
that's
I got him beat.
Yeah, you got him beat, but I'm a huge Indy fan over here as well from my dad, so we'll have to work that in to some of our shows coming up. But yeah, NBA today, super excited for that. It's going to be awesome. And again, we want to shout out. I know it started already. If you're late in the area, get over and see the men's tennis team, super regional. Started at noon, but they're going to be playing for quite a little while. Free parking gluten-free mission. His coach, Ty Tucker, did join us earlier today, so we appreciate him. And best of luck to the Buckeyes as they're trying to advance to the finals. We got to thank Danny Cunningham from Locked On Cavs for joining us a little bit earlier as well. Cole, huge thanks back at the ranch. It was a great show today. And Tim, my first one on 97.1. I can't thank you enough for being a part of it, and I can't thank all of you out there listening enough for being a part of it. We got ESPN Radio next. We appreciate you listening. 97.1, The Fan.
We've been your Jackets flagship station since day one. All the goals, all the action, all the memories. Your home for the Columbus Blue Jackets, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Looking to sell your home? Don't pay 6% commission. Call my guys at Sell for 1% Realtors. They're full service, not a do-it-yourself kind of thing. On average, customers save over $10,000. Give them a call, 614-451-6616. That's 451-6616.
We've all got it, you know. That one crazy thing you've always wanted to do. That bucket list goal. Then a cancer diagnosis, and that one thing still goes according to plan. I would know. I'm getting my first tattoo right now, while my 3 beautiful daughters laugh hysterically at me. 58 years old, 4 years of cancer-free checkups at Ohio Health. Go ahead and get a picture, girls. You keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keepmakingplans.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Aaron, which brand of air conditioner is the most energy efficient?
It's the one that's had its outside coils cleaned correctly.
Well, I can wash those off with a garden hose, right?
No.
Why not?
Humidity mixes with dust and pollen to create a microthin film of sticky paste that gets baked onto those hot outside coils.
And that baked-on stuff keeps my coils from releasing their heat into the atmosphere.
Which means your system has to run longer, which uses a lot more energy and it shortens the life of your air conditioner.
Get Eco.
ECO.
How do we get that baked-on stuff off?
Remove the exterior shroud, then spray the coils from the inside out with a special eco-friendly solvent.
Can I rinse the solvent off with a garden hose?
Yeah, but only from the inside out.
Or I could just pay Eco to do it.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco doesn't take shortcuts. We do it the right way every time.
Get Eco professional coil cleaning for just $468.
This is Corey Sickles with Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors. Get a complimentary second opinion to see if your portfolio is properly designed to achieve your goals before it's too late. Visit safeharboroh.com to schedule a complimentary meeting. safeharboroh.com.
Save more on a good deal more during the Meijer Super Sale going on this Friday and Saturday only. Shop low prices on favorites like fresh from Meijer boneless pork tenderloin for $1.99 a pound. Baby cut carrots are 89 cents for a 1-pound bag. And select varieties of Pepperidge Farm cookies are buy one, get one free. Shop low Meijer prices while supplies last and get the same prices in-store and online this Friday and Saturday only. Saving more on family favorites at Meijer. That's the good life. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meijer app.
Common Man and Bob Capace here for Worthington Jewelers. Bob, you know what I love the most about you?
That I pay you to do these commercials?
That and the way you treat your customers.
All right, listen. I will hook you up in our warm, inviting environment. You will be greeted by our top sales professionals that are non-commissioned, but will help guide you through the entire process.
You're my guy, Bob. Worthington Jewelers on High Street in Worthington. Worthington Jewelers.